Chapter 569. After dinner, Gu Qingshan had obtained a lot of useful information. Satisfied, she returned to her room. He sat in the center of the orchid hall and stared blankly for a while before bursting into laughter. He didn't expect that he would have a moment of relaxation. He only needed to go sightseeing, and he would be able to obtain treasures. Both Miao and Bali valued the items in the mystic zones. In response to the Bramblebird's call, a greeting gift. Entering the world of the Brambleberds is rewarded with a participation prize. If he performed well, he would receive a ranking award. When he left, he received a commemorative award. In that case, these things should be enough to pay off the debt. In the worst case, he would just work harder and perform outstandingly to obtain some better treasures. Thinking of this, Gu Qingshan's previous hesitation gradually disappeared, and she only felt that she had calmed down a little. That was good. He took out a pill, put it in his mouth, then took out Xie Dao Ling's cultivation notes. Lines of glowing text appeared on the war god Yue. Current soul points required to comprehend Xie Dao Ling's cultivation record. Sainted Realm late stage breakthrough method requires 1400 soul points. Do you want to comprehend it? Yes, pay 1400 soul points. A huge flow of heat emerged from the jade slip and flowed into Gu Qingshan's limbs and bones through his arms, before finally returning to his sea of consciousness. This was Xie Dao Ling's final comprehension of Sainted Realm. She didn't even have time to write down her understanding of breaking through the wind and lightning tribulations in Shen Wu world and breaking through to Projection Realm. Gu Qingshan can't help but fall into a reverie after she finishes comprehending. With Shifu's intelligence, she must have already broken through to the Projection Realm. In fact, after seeing Qi Yan's method of refining a world, she would also think of a way to fuse Shen Wu world and the cultivation world together. Because the highest realm that Shen Wu world could reach in the past was virtualized realm, with this fusion, the new world's cultivation limit would definitely surpass virtualized realm. At the very least, he would reach the cryptic spirit realm. Gu Qingshan sighed. He wondered how his master was doing. Xiao Lu, Xiu Xiu, Ning Yuechan, Leng Tianxing, Gong Sunji. I hope everyone is doing well. Gu Qingshan closed her eyes, crossed her legs, and entered a meditative state. He began to attempt a breakthrough. The Bramblebird's summoning didn't seem to be a problem. However, Gu Qingshan still decided to seize the time and work hard to become stronger. He would never relax his demands on himself just because the outside world had become more relaxed. One day later, Gu Qingshan opened her eyes. Shanu appeared in front of him. Silently sensing Gu Qingshan's aura, Shanu's eyes showed a bit of anticipation. The stronger Gu Qingshan became, the stronger she would become. Being able to control the power of a cultivator was an unprecedented and wonderful experience for her. Congratulations, Gongzi, your total spirit energy seems to have increased by 40% compared to before, Shanu smiled brightly. That's right, I'm now a sainted late-stage cultivator. Gu Qingshan waved his hand and grabbed the Chao Yin sword. After silently feeling it for a bit, he muttered, I feel like my swordsmanship can become even more powerful now. Of course, the more spirit energy you can use, the more powerful your attacks will be, Shanu replied. But I'm still too weak, Gu Qingshan sighed. He had already met a cryptic realm cultivator, so even though he broke through, he didn't feel any joy at all. Instead he felt a sense of urgency to catch up. Shanu consoled him. Gongzi, a person can't just eat everything in one go. According to the common sense of cultivation that you've told me, your cultivation speed is already very fast. Gu Qingshan nodded, then shook his head. A knock came from the door. Shanu turned into the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword and hid in Gu Qingshan's thought sea. Gu Qingshan stood up and went to open the door. The old man stood at the door with a smile on his face. I'm here to tell you that there's only half a day left. You can take a look and see if you have anything that can be considered treasures. Give them to the Brambleberds and exchange them for a few items from the Mystic Zones. Gu Qingshan was surprised. The old man already told him about this before, and now he specifically came to remind him, so it must be something important. Sure enough, the old man continued, to the bramble birds, our treasures aren't really that important. But if there's something that the bramble birds reluctantly accept, they'll exchange it with items from the mystic zones. Those items are all true treasures. Thank you, I understand, Gu Qingshan replied. The old man nodded to him and left. Gu Qingshan closed the door and sat down on the edge of the bed. Treasures? He fell into thought. What do I have that can be considered treasures? By Hua Sek's resources? Resources from a scattered world shouldn't be considered treasures. Armor? He took out the UG General armor. This armor has been through so many battles in Shin Wu world that it's already cracked a lot. The bramble birds probably don't like something that's about to break. The Earth Sword, Chao Yin Sword, Six Paths Great Mountain Sword? These are things that I've risked my life for, so I wouldn't be willing to exchange them for anything. What else? That's right, that card. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but chuckle. The old man from the Spire Keeper Association said that this is a treasure that definitely wouldn't appear in a scattered world. However, he did possess this treasure. With such a precious item, I should be able to exchange it for a few things. That way, part of the Justice Iron Fist Club's debt can be resolved. It'll be even better if I can resolve all of it. As Gu Qingshan thought about it, he took out the Predictor of Fate card. There was a huge eye drawn on the card. Endless white fog was quickly swirling inside the eye, forming a vortex. A line of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Predictor of Fate, rare card. When you're hesitating, you can observe this card to see a certain possibility in your fate. This is a rare and precious card. In many worlds, you can use it to exchange for treasures that you yearn for even in your dreams. Gu Qingshan stared at the card. Seems like it's finally time for this card to be put to good use. While he was looking at the card, the giant eye on the card was also looking at him. In just a single breath's worth of time, the giant eye disappeared. The Predictor of Fate was activated again. A skeleton with tattered clothes appeared on the card. The skeleton was anxiously moving around, apparently trying to sense something. Normally, skeletons represented death. This was common knowledge among cards. Seeing this, Gu Qingshan smiled. Back in the suspended world, this card had also appeared as a skeleton representing death. He didn't believe in such things, so he didn't think much of it. Gu Qingshan was about to put the card away again. At this time, the Predictor of Fate card changed again. The card's screen changed. The skeleton opened its mouth wide, screaming in fear. Indeed, its voice went through the card and resounded throughout the entire room. The skeleton frantically ran around inside the card, but couldn't leave. All of its struggles were futile. Gu Qingshan suddenly saw himself on the card. But at a glance, it didn't look like the real him. His eyes were gone, replaced by two black holes. Sharp teeth grew out of his mouth, drooling non-stop. The self roared as he charged at the skeleton, knocking it to the ground. The skeleton tried to resist, but was pinned down by Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan opened his mouth wide and bit off the skeleton's head. Gotcha! The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The skeleton's head was chewed to pieces and eaten. Gu Qingshan looked down and continued to eat the skeleton's body. The sound of chewing could be heard. As he ate, endless darkness shrouded the face of the card. The entire card became completely black. Strange, why did I become like this? Gu Qingshan stared at the card and muttered. Ever since he received this card, he had never seen such a strange sight. Gu Qingshan shook the card a bit, then fanned himself. No matter what he did, the darkness on the card remained the same. Gongzi, this card is making me feel uneasy, Shanna muttered. This was the first time she had ever felt this way. Gu Qingshan also felt a vague, indescribable feeling in his heart. Unlike before, this time Gu Qingshan truly felt that something wasn't right. Ever since he boarded the ship, His spirit sense had been constantly reminding him that something strange was happening. Spirit sense was a premonition unique to cultivators. His spirit sense was so powerful that he could even sense the scene before his death. Because of his spirit sense, Gu Qingshan was so uneasy that he had to break through twice to complete his cultivation breakthrough. What exactly is going on? Gu Qingshan stood up and paced back and forth in Orchid Hall. He was confident in his spirit sense. If he could analyze the situation with this card, he would be able to obtain even more accurate information. But he was a sword cultivator, not a card user. Although he had some superficial knowledge about cards, he couldn't understand the mystery behind the strange changes that had occurred to the cards. Chapter 570. Time quickly passed. The old man brought Gu Qingshan to the deck of the ship. "We're almost there," the old man said. Gu Qingshan looked around expectantly. Around the big ship was a starry universe. This place was no longer part of the space vortex. They were about to arrive at a certain world. "The bramble birds are nearby?" Gu Qingshan asked. "The bramble birds probably haven't arrived yet. Participants must arrive at an old god ruin ahead of time." "Ruin?" "That's right." The old man looked at Gu Qingshan's expression and waved his hand dismissively. "It's different from what you're thinking. For countless years, every grain of sand in this ruin has been studied. There's no danger here. Of course, there won't be any benefits waiting for you either. Then the reason we're here is, everyone who answered the call of the bramblebirds must gather here," the old man further explained. "Everyone must wait here for the bramblebirds' arrival. That's why I'm not too late." Gu Qingshan sighed in relief. "No, you're still too late. Those who arrive first will be taken into the bramblebirds' treasure world first. You can only enter after everyone else has entered." Gu Qingshan shrugged. "It's fine if I'm a bit late," the old man smiled. "It's rare for you to be so open-minded." While they were talking, a vast group of palaces appeared in front of the ship. This was a group of snow-white palaces, majestic and beautiful, almost as if they were carved out of ivory. But within this snow-white palace, there was a square that stretched as far as the eye could see. There were so many people on the square that it was impossible to count. So many participants. Gu Qingshan looked at the crowded square and sighed emotionally. Of course, if it weren't for the old god's palace and square, there wouldn't be any other place that could accommodate so many young heroes from different worlds, the old man replied. "So people can rest freely here?" "No, no, no," the old man smiled. "Only the square is free to rest. The other places are under the Abol Hotel's jurisdiction." "These palaces are actually a large hotel?" Gu Qingshan was surprised. "Wait, why does this name sound so familiar?" Gu Qingshan suddenly remembered. Abruzzi is the Rooster Resort. Does that mean Rooster is here too? An old god's palace. That sounds quite attractive. A famous financial group bought this super-dimensional world and turned it into a holiday hotel. Gu Qingshan's eyes lit up. This is a famous high-class hotel. Many of the world's experts and royal families have long booked rooms here. Why is it so popular? Because of time. It has been condensed with a type of time origin law. As long as you spend a bit of money, you can return to a certain era in the past. You can spend a leisurely time in that era for about half a month. A look of fascination appeared on the old man's face. When you return in half a month, you will find that only a day has passed. How wonderful, Gu Qingshan commented. The old man handed Gu Qingshan a golden number plate. Gu Qingshan took it and looked at it. 79, this was the number engraved on the metal plate. Gu Qingshan looked at the old man. The old man explained, "When we went to pick you up, our association had already booked a room for you. With the current situation, it will probably be hard to find a place to rest when you arrive. Thank you. If it wasn't for the fact that I couldn't find another way, I wouldn't have bothered you so much." Gu Qingshan thanked him. "It's all thanks to the Spire Keeper Association, otherwise things wouldn't have gone so smoothly." "What are you talking about?" The old man waved his hand dismissively. "You saved great scholar Moore's life. His wisdom is a precious asset to the entire association. Gu Qingshan went silent. She never thought that the person she helped so casually would have such an identity. At this point, the ship slowed down and quickly approached the palaces. The ship drifted towards one side of the palaces. It was clear just how grand this old god ruin was. The Spire Keeper Association's ship was already as tall as a 20-story building, but compared to the palaces of the old gods, it was like a sesame seed in front of a giant elephant. The ship stopped. The old man solemnly bowed to Gu Qingshan. If it's only a small matter like the journey, you can tell us at any time. Farewell. Thank you for the Spire's help. Farewell. Gu Qingshan clasped his fist. He lightly leapt up and landed on a wide square. The old man stood at the bow of the ship, watching him until he landed on the square before giving the order to set sail. As Gu Qingshan landed in the middle of the bustling square, a few people around his age quickly gathered around him. Their auras were quite strong, but Gu Qingshan felt that he could deal with them. After all, they were all below 30 years old. Other than a few unique individuals, everyone's strength was about the same. Although Gu Qingshan came from a scattered world, how many people in a scattered world could miraculously reach Sainted Realm in their 20s like he did? Are you here to join the Bramble Birds? One of them stared at him and said. No, I'm here for a vacation. Gu Qingshan cut him off and waved the number tag in his hand. These people begrudgingly scattered. Every room in a bull hotel was marked with a guest's identity. They didn't dare to act rashly. This is a bull hotel. Attacking a guest of a bull here is the same as asking for death. Seeing the number tag in his hand, a few more people gathered around him. Friend, do you have a room for sale? We've been staying here for too long. We need a place to rest if you're willing. No, I also need to rest. Gu Qingshan cut him off again. He concealed his aura and quickly blended into the crowd. The people who were paying attention to him quickly followed. But Gu Qingshan was too fast, and the crowd was too tight. It was impossible to keep up with him without alerting anyone. Gu Qingshan wasn't being careless either. He quickly weaved through the crowd, sometimes even using ground shrink. After running for a quarter of an hour, he had finally walked half a circle around the square, and successfully lost the people who were following him. These people were constantly paying attention to the newcomers, so there must be some kind of shady business they wanted to do. Gu Qingshan didn't care about these things. Holding the golden number tag in hand, he followed the direction given by the number tag and left the square. Walking along the large stairs for about 10 minutes, after a few turns, he reached the main gate of the old god's palace. Most of the people in the square were young people who answered the call of the Bramble Birds, all of them a bit restless. But this place was filled with people who came to a bull for a vacation. Compared to the hustle and bustle of the square, this place was exceptionally quiet. There was an endless stream of people entering and exiting the hotel. All of them were well-mannered and polite. Gu Qingshan saw a wolf wearing a woolen sweater with a pipe in his mouth, making way for two veiled women. Gu Qingshan slowed down and entered the hotel. "Hello, how may I be of service?" a voice asked. At some unknown point, a strange entity had appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. It was made entirely out of gray air, but the air itself was covered by a form-fitting piece of clothing. An airman? Gu Qingshan doubtfully thought. But as soon as this entity appeared, Gu Qingshan felt a sense of comfort. The air around her became fresh and clean. The temperature was also maintained at 26 degrees Celsius. Abundant spirit energy was exuding from the airman's body, slowly filling every inch of Gu Qingshan's body. This gave her a strange feeling of being at home. "I have a room here," Gu Qingshan said. "Please show me your room number plate." Gu Qingshan took out the shiny golden number tag and gave it to him. "A gold number tag," the airman immediately said. "So it was an esteemed guest. Number 79, HM, let me check the records. Found it, the Spire Keeper Association's Starry Sky View Suite." His tone was extremely respectful. A gold number tag can enjoy many of a bull's exclusive services for free. The other party was also from the Spire Keeper Association. This was a big client of the hotel. The airman pressed the number tag into the void of space. Immediately, a golden door slowly opened from the void of space. The airman returned the number tag to Gu Qingshan and bowed. "Please, this is your room, esteemed guest. This hotel has many entertainment facilities. No matter where you are spending your time, as long as you activate the number tag, you will be able to return to your room at any time." Saying so, the airman silently came closer and whispered, "Do you require any other services? What are you referring to?" "Information, I do, 2 crystal diamonds." Gu Qingshan hesitated. "From the sound of it, diamonds are a common currency, but I don't have that kind of money, and I'm already in debt." "Take them," a pleasant female voice rang out. 2 small round crystals flew over and landed in the airman's hand. The airman put the crystals away and quickly said, "The Bramblebird royal family will be arriving later today. The grand banquet has already been prepared. An important member of the royal family will be making his debut at the banquet." Saying so, the airman disappeared. Gu Qingshan didn't have the time to think about this information, nor did he have the time to determine if it was real or not. His heart couldn't help but beat a bit faster. Then he turned around. A white-clothed Su Cher stood silently at the hotel entrance with a scepter in her hand. She stared at Gu Qingshan and muttered, "I've been waiting for you for a long time." Gu Qingshan slowly smiled. Chapter 571. Gu Qingshan looked at Su Cher, who was wolfing down her food, and helplessly told her, "Eat slowly." Su Cher didn't listen at all and mumbled, "I can't help it, it's been so long since I've eaten your cooking." Gu Qingshan smiled. Back when she was still in school, Su Cher would often go to the night market to visit his stall. It was a time of peace and prosperity. But now that she thought about it, it was already so long ago that it felt like it was a lifetime ago. "Shui-er, which world did you go to?" Gu Qingshan asked caringly. "That's not important," Su Cher answered while eating. "Why not?" Su Cher hesitated for a bit, then smiled and answered, "The place I'm at is an island with only a few normal people. I've been bored to death, so I've been looking for a new place to stay for a long time." Gu Qingshan was surprised. That can't be right. The scroll she gave him before, from Gu Qingshan's current perspective, he now understood just how precious and powerful it was. If she could give him such a scroll, then how could the world she's at be a normal world? He looked at her. She smiled at him. "It's true, my teacher is very powerful, but he left me behind to go on a long journey through space. I don't want to stay in that boring place by myself." That's a different meaning to her words. Seems like it doesn't have anything to do with that world. She's only saying that because she wants to be with me? Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then slowly answered, "The place I'm at is a super-dimensional world, called the Justice Iron Fist Club." Justice Iron Fist? Wait a minute. Su Cher wiped her mouth and took out a newspaper from somewhere. The headline of the newspaper was, "Good news for the super-dimensional world. Affected by Bali's recovery from his leg injury, 7,934 listed companies' stocks rose sharply." An investor said, "Thank God, he finally has the ability to return the money." There was even a picture attached to the newspaper. The old man from the Spire Keeper Association hugged Bali's leg with an expression of disbelief. Meanwhile, Bali clenched his fist with a look of disgust. This picture was really a perfect match. Su Cher pointed at the picture and said, "Look, you're up there too. That's where I started to find your news." Gu Qingshan took a closer look. Indeed, he was standing next to Bali at that time, and his sluggish expression was captured by the camera. "Just based on this photo? Of course, I've done a lot of homework. In order to find you, I've spent a lot of money on information." As Su Cher spoke, she suddenly blushed. These words were too obvious. She felt a little awkward. Gu Qingshan was even more certain of her previous judgment. As expected, Snow had discovered my whereabouts and came to find me. That was why she had purposely said those things. With that in mind, Gu Qingshan relaxed again. He put his hand on her head. Since you're so bored staying in your own world, after this is over, come with me, he said. Su Cher's eyes sparkled as she looked at him. I'll listen to you, she responded softly. Seeing her like that, Gu Qingshan slowly smiled. All of a sudden, a melodious tune resounded. The two of them turned to the same direction at the same time. A colorful light descended from the sky and landed in the middle of the starry room, condensing into a thin card. Su Shuer took it and flipped it open. It's an invitation. Do you know a lot of people? She asked curiously. No, this is my first time visiting this kind of hotel, Gu Qingshan replied. The two of them read through the invitation. This was an invitation that the hotel had sent to all its guests. The Bramble-Bird royal family was about to arrive in a bull. They had invited all gold-ranked guests to join the grand banquet at night. As for the reason, the Bramble-Bird princess was about to hold her coming-of-age ceremony, entering the ranks of the noble ladies of the infinite worlds for the first time. The Bramble-Bird princess, Su Cher, was surprised. This is a huge piece of news. If we can get to know her, we won't even need to answer the call of the light of dawn. We'll be able to obtain a lot of precious treasures. Is that so? How about we go take a look? Gu Qingshan asked. Of course, it depends on whether or not you're willing to take me as your companion, Su Cher replied. It would be my honor, Gu Qingshan replied. He, Su Cher didn't say anything and only smiled. She seemed to be very happy. Gu Qingshan suddenly recalled something. You're a god's chosen? He asked. That's right, I coincidentally obtained a card, but I've never been able to understand what it means. Can you help me take a look? Of course, Su Cher pridefully replied. I'm the most knowledgeable person in my group. Gu Qingshan didn't change her expression at all. But this once again proved that Su Cher was lying. This group of people, these words alone were enough to prove that the world she came from wasn't as simple as it seemed. However, since Gu Qingshan understood her intentions, he no longer paid attention to that world. Gu Qingshan tapped his inventory bag and took out the Predictor of Fate card. As soon as he took it out, Su Cher opened her eyes wide and held her breath. The King of Fate. This card was one of the cards from the Bu King of Fate deck. The Lord of Blood once told her about this deck. Within the entire 900 million world layers, there was only a single set of these cards, each of which was unique and unique. Only the most powerful God's chosen empire had the right to obtain this deck. And this Language of Fate card was sentient. It had its own will. Once it abandoned someone, that person would die, and it would search for a new master. Su Shuer received the card without batting an eyelid. This is a Predictor of Fate card, she casually said. She carefully observed the image on the card. The giant eye shrouded in white fog stared at her, then slowly began to change. When I was up there, I saw myself turning into a monster and chewing on a skeleton. What's the meaning of that? Gu Qingshan asked in confusion. Su Cher's heart sank. She stared at the image on the card and didn't answer. Gu Qingshan followed her gaze to the card. There was nothing on the surface of the token. Su Shuer stared at the card, speechless. Why is there nothing but emptiness on this card? What does that mean? Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. Su Cher still didn't answer. She looked at the card, then at Gu Qingshan. Come, give me your hand, she said. She took Gu Qingshan's hand. The two of them held the card together. Su Cher looked at the card and loudly chanted, Fate! Only when it withers will it bloom. Her tone was strange and filled with an indescribable sense of threat, causing those who heard it to feel a sense of awe and respect. This wasn't the language of her original world, but rather an incantation. Thanks to the Spire's Infinite Worlds Common Language Dictionary, Gu Qingshan was able to recognize the origin and meaning of this incantation. This was the language of fog from Fog Isle. But what kind of place is Fog Isle? Gu Qingshan silently memorized the name of this world. Why does this incantation sound a bit strange? While Gu Shan was thinking about it, as Su Cher chanted the incantation, the image on the card changed. From the void, Gu Shan appeared. He lightly leapt up and flew into the infinite stars. With his sword in hand, he casually slashed. The entire universe was cut in half by his strike. Countless stars rained down like rain. Wow! Su Cher gasped in shock. Gu Shan was also stunned by his own majestic appearance on the card. How strange, I was still chewing on skeletons just now, why did I suddenly become so powerful? He asked. Because I'm with you, Su Cher stared at the card in a daze and held Gu Shan's hand tightly. Then, as Gu Shan was about to ask further, Su Cher cut her off. Did you know, Shan, this hotel is a bit special, she said. Gu Shan couldn't help but ask, what are you referring to? This hotel can allow us to return to a certain world, a certain era, and spend half a month in peace. I've heard of this before, it's truly miraculous. Are you willing to come with me to take a look? But, aren't we going to participate in the Bramble-Bird Royal Family's banquet? What's the point of that? Just come with me to the past. Just treat it as a moment of relaxation before the battle. Su Cher appeared to be begging him. Gu Shan sighed helplessly. Women really are fickle creatures. 1 second they're thinking this, the next second they're thinking that. All right, he agreed. He really couldn't refuse Su Cher's request. Yay! Su Cher raised both hands up like a child, as if she'd just won some sort of grand victory. She casually put the Predictor of Fate card away, then took out another card and gave it to Gu Shan. I'll take a look at your card. I'll leave this card with you, just in case you think I took your Predictor of Fate card for myself. No need, I won't think of you that way. If you really won't think of me that way, then take this card. Just treat it as you're temporarily keeping it safe for me. Su Cher insisted. All right then. Gu Shan had no choice but to accept the card and casually glanced at it. On the card was a monster that was as tall as a mountain. It had vertical pupils and a pair of gray wings. Behind the monster was an uncountable sea of monsters. They were neatly lined up in a square formation, wielding weapons in their hands while exuding a sense of killing intent. From the looks of it, this was a gigantic army. A strange connection was formed between him and the card. Following this connection, a few lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. You've obtained the War card. Blood Sea God Army, you've obtained the rights to this card. Due to certain reasons, the Blood Sea God Army had voluntarily formed a covenant with you, obeying your orders and summons. Gu Shan appeared surprised. Didn't you say I'll only be keeping this card safe for a while? Why did I become the card's owner instead? He looked at Su Cher and was about to speak. Chapter 572. Gu Shan wanted to return the Blood Sea God Army back to Su Cher. But Su Cher wouldn't listen to anything and insisted on keeping the card in his pocket. With no other choice, Gu Shan could only hold on to the Blood Sea God Army card for now. At this point, a faint sound and the light of dawn appeared in the room, drifting around Su Cher's body. Su Cher appeared to be listening attentively. These supernatural phenomena quickly disappeared. What was that just now? Gu Shan asked. The call of the bramble birds. The great light of dawn sensed my will, and because I was the first to arrive, it decided to let me enter its world in 1 hour, Su Cher replied. I don't think I've sensed it yet, Gu Shan commented. Of course, you've only just arrived. You'll have to queue for a long time, 1 hour. Gu Shan muttered. She didn't think Su Cher would have to leave so soon. Su Cher replied. It's fine, I'll go in first and wait for you. Gu Shan thought about it. That's true, I'll have to go in sooner or later anyway. He smiled. Seems like you made the right decision. If we go to the banquet, you'll probably have to leave before it's even over. That's right. That's why we'll have to go to the Reelable from the hotel. The flow of time inside is very slow. I'll be able to stay a bit longer, Su Cher replied. Then let's go now, Gu Shan decided. Su Cher put her hand out. Give me your room number, what about yours? Gu Qingshan couldn't help but ask. I snuck out on my own, I don't have the money to stay in such a high-class room. Not to mention, only a room of your level can go to a bull for free. Gu Qingshan then took out the room number and put it in Su Cher's hand. Su Cher calmed down and activated her badge. Suddenly, a voice came from the number plate. Esteemed guest, how may I be of service to you? We're going to a bull. How long do you plan to stay? Su Cher thought for a moment and said, half a month. According to your room level, the time has been confirmed. Please wait a moment. Before his voice died away, the golden token flew into the air and released runes one after another. The runes combined and turned into an open door. The two of them looked into the rune gate and saw a stretch of mountains on the other side. The top of the mountain was covered in white snow, but there was a small town with beautiful scenery at the foot of the mountain, exuding a sense of leisure and tranquility. There was a clear lake next to the town, and there were people boating on it. On the other side of the lake was a broad road that ended in a great city. Gu Qingshan and Su Cher retracted their gazes. Two horses galloped over from the grassland and stopped at the entrance of the rune gate. Their bodies were muscular, their four legs slightly raised in the air as they approached. The elemental aura of wind and water appeared on their bodies. Even with the door between them, Gu Qingshan could still sense the power they exuded. The horses looked at Gu Qingshan and Su Cher and let out a long neigh. Look, they're urging us, Su Cher smiled. Gu Qingshan muses. I heard that no one can get hurt inside this place. That's right, do you really think a holiday spot like a bull would be dangerous? Su Cher was surprised. I've never ridden a horse before. Gu Qingshan stared at the horses and spoke with uncertainty. Su Cher laughed. She pulled Gu Qingshan into the rune gate. She taught Gu Qingshan the basics of riding a horse step by step. The simplest part is that you need to follow the horse's rhythm and adjust your posture. If the horse moves fast, you follow suit. Even if it slows down, you still need to adjust your own rhythm. This way, at least your internal organs won't be shaken up. Is that enough? Gu Qingshan held the reins and asked. Just a bit more. Su Cher slapped the horse's butt and shouted, Hiya! The steed immediately sped away like an arrow from a bow. You little girl! Gu Qingshan's voice came from afar. In the blink of an eye, he was already far away. Su Cher stood still until she couldn't see Gu Qingshan anymore before wiping her reddened eyes. She leapt onto the horse and chased after Gu Qingshan. Infinity World's town. This was a bull's most famous holiday spot. In this town, time moved extremely slowly. More interestingly, this was a miniature world created by the old gods through the combined wisdom and divine might of their old gods. It had two very unique laws. Firstly, if people stayed here for half a month, only a single day would have passed on the outside. Secondly, the laws here would protect everyone from getting hurt. Perhaps the old gods originally wanted to use this miniature world for something. But obviously, they didn't have the time to do so and hurriedly disappeared. But because of these two laws, the town's holidaymakers were able to relax. Gu Qingshan and Su Cher stood at the center of Infinity World's town, enjoying themselves so much that they forgot to go home. There was a unique group of fireflies here. Each firefly represented an unstoppable skill. Once you caught one, you would enter an illusion and see yourself unleashing this powerful skill against your enemies. Of course, you could only see the power of the skill, not its secret. These were the most famous skills of the strongest combatants throughout the history of the 900 million world layers that were collected by Infinity World's town. With the firefly in hand, everyone could see themselves unleashing their most famous skills and beating up their enemies. This was an unprecedented experience. Qingshan, guess what I saw? Su Cher cheerfully asked. What? I turned an enemy into an egg. Ah? That's a very impressive skill. What happened after that? After that, I threw it into boiling water, peeled it and ate it. What a unique skill, But you definitely don't know what kind of skill I saw. Let me see. Su Cher received the firefly from Gu Qingshan and closed her eyes. A few moments later, she looked at Gu Qingshan with a pained expression. You shouldn't have shown me this, why not? Gu Qingshan was surprised. This skill only causes people to become fat uncontrollably, until their stomach becomes so fat that they can't even touch the ground anymore, idiot. After a long while, they finally stopped trying and reluctantly left this place. Every single shop in the village had all sorts of wondrous and unimaginable things for sale. There were no employees, no bosses, everything naturally followed the wishes of the customers. Gu Qingshan accompanied Su Cher as she went from shop to shop. Inside the weapon shop, each weapon had its own mini-world. Gu Qingshan went to take a look inside the sword world, and was still shocked when she returned. It was a world made entirely of swords. If it weren't for the fact that he didn't have any money, he would have bought the entire world. On the other hand, Su Cher wasn't very interested in weapons. She dragged Gu Qingshan to the Infinity World's virtuous dress shop. After that, Gu Qingshan said nice a total of 94 times, okay a total of 31 times, and I suggest you try something else a total of 5 times. The two of them stayed in this shop for the entire afternoon. While they were waiting for Su Cher to try on the clothes, something happened. Buttercup's pink bikini silently came out of her inventory bag, startling Gu Qingshan. How did you get out by yourself? He couldn't help but ask. Fortunately, Su Cher went to try on the clothes at this time. Otherwise, if she saw Gu Qingshan wearing such a bikini, who knows what she would think. The pink bikini complained. You said you would find me a female owner with a perfect body, but I've been waiting for so long without any news. Did you forget about that? Gu Qingshan slapped his head and answered with a serious expression. How could I forget? I've always remembered that. He really did forget. Hearing that, the pink bikini was satisfied. It's good that you remember, then I'll wait for your good news. It flew back into Gu Qingshan's inventory bag. Wait a minute. Gu Qingshan took it out again and asked, How did you get out of my inventory bag? I can take you through countless world layers. Such a small matter is nothing to me, the pink bikini replied. Don't come out on your own for the next few days. I'll take care of your matters, Gu Qingshan seriously told it. All right, then I'll wait for your good news, the pink bikini replied. Gu Qingshan quickly put it back into his inventory bag. Su Cher excitedly ran over. What do you think of this? She was wearing a long dress and twirled around in front of Gu Qingshan. Great! It's so beautiful, Gu Qingshan gave her a thumbs up. But there's another dress that's not bad either. I'll have to try it on. Saying so, Su Cher left. Gu Qingshan wiped the sweat off his forehead. That was close. I almost let Su Cher see the pink bikini I'm wearing. She'll definitely think I'm a pervert. After a while, Su Cher finally finished trying on the dress. It was already dark outside. Are you hungry? I'm fine, but I'm starving. The two of them went to eat together. There was only a single restaurant in this town. It was said that no matter how many people there were, it wouldn't be crowded. At its peak, it once served 400 million customers at once. The two of them sat down in the empty restaurant. Strange, this is supposed to be a vacation spot, but there's no one here. Gu Qingshan looked around. There wasn't a single person in the entire town. Only he and Su Cher were aimlessly walking around the town. The shops and restaurants were the same. They're probably all attending the Bramble Bird Princess public appearance banquet, Su Cher commented. Bramble birds, Gu Qingshan muttered. A type of wondrous creature. They believe that there are 12 types of spirits in this world, so they're considered adults at 12 years old. Su Cher didn't even need to think to recite the knowledge from her memories. In other words, the princess is only 12 years old? Correct, tch. So many people going to see a 12-year-old girl, but they're not enjoying their vacation. At least there's still us. The two of them smiled at each other. The night breeze blew past, the air was refreshing. They sat in the restaurant, enjoying the wind blowing in through the window while ordering a few dishes from the menu. Gu Qingshan first ordered a glass of transparent amber liquor, then under Su Share's suggestion, he ordered fish, bread, and cheese. Within the infinite worlds, these were the three safest types of food. The fish was caught from the nearby lake, as well as the signature dish of this place. Gu Qingshan's taste has always been a bit heavy, but I really have to say, this fish was truly delicious. He wasn't used to eating bread and cheese, so he only ate a few mouthfuls before putting it down. Seeing that, Su Share didn't mind at all and continued to eat. She ordered the most expensive fruit and vegetable salad in the entire restaurant. Gu Qingshan also tasted it and found it to be quite delicious. But these dishes were all too bland. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but think of the spicy hot pot type of food. Fortunately, the amber-colored wine tasted good. It was cool and pure. After Gu Qingshan finished it, she ordered another glass. Seeing him like that, Su Share picked up the menu and ordered a bowl of noodles for Gu Qingshan. The noodles were a bit salty and a bit spicy, just right for Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but eat as well. Seeing that, Su Share also couldn't help but take a bite. Then the bowl of noodles was divided between the two of them. They sat there eating and drinking without any thoughts in their mind. Occasionally, they would look at the elegant chandelier and artistic decorations in the restaurant, then turn around to look at the scenery of the lake outside. This was an unprecedentedly comfortable day. All of a sudden, a rooster's voice came. "Ah, what did I just say? There really is someone here who didn't go to the banquet." Gu Qingshan and Su Share followed the voice, only to see a large rooster and a floating piece of wood walking into the restaurant. Gu Qingshan and the rooster's eyes met. Chapter 573. Who would have thought they would actually run into this big rooster? Gu Qingshan smiled and stood up to greet him. "I'm here because of the Bramblebird summoning, so that's why. How regretful that I'm too old, otherwise I'd really like to get a few small things. Even if I sell them, I can still get a bit of money." Ahahav. After a bit of small talk, the big rooster suggested having dinner together. In his words, the village is so big, it took so much effort to find two living people, if they split up, it'll be very hard to find them again. Without waiting for Gu Qingshan to refuse, the big rooster clapped his hands and paid for Gu Qingshan's bill. The big rooster flapped his wings again and asked for a top-notch set meal for 4 people. Gu Qingshan and Su Share exchanged glances. This is really too much to refuse. They don't have anything else to do, and they really haven't eaten yet, so it's fine to sit with them for a bit longer. The 4 of them sat down. "May I know how to address this beautiful lady?" The big rooster looked at Su Share and politely asked. "Nice to meet you, I'm Su Share." The big rooster patted Gu Qingshan's shoulder. "Fresh flowers and cow dung, a perfect combination. I give you my blessings." "Thank you," Su Share smiled sweetly. Gu Qingshan looked at the log with a helpless expression. "May I know who this is?" he asked. This is an esteemed lady. She didn't allow me to say her name, The big rooster looked at the log and said with a troubled expression. "It's fine." A low female voice came from the log. "These 2 little ones have a bit of contact with our old friends." As the log split open, a lifelike wooden beauty appeared in front of them. She looked at Gu Qingshan and appeared interested. "A newcomer of the Justice Fist Club?" "That's right," Gu Qingshan casually admitted. "Did Bali's leg really recover?" "Yes. The curse he was afflicted with was extremely powerful. I had thought that he would come and beg me, but he was actually quite stubborn. Fool, could it be that life and death is more important than face?" The wooden woman angrily said. "Why didn't he beg you?" Su Share asked cautiously. "Because he went against me in the casino. In the end, he even lost his pants to me." The wooden beauty lit up a cigarette and took a deep drag. It seemed like he was an old acquaintance of Bali. Gu Qingshan couldn't say anything for Bali. "Bali? You're talking about Iron Fist Bali?" Big Rooster exclaimed. "Yes," Gu Qingshan replied. Ah, I owe him a small favor. The big rooster muttered in a low voice. The wooden woman turned to Sue Cher and asked, "How is your teacher?" Sue Cher was stunned. "You know my teacher?" She sat up a bit more. "Of course, Lord of Blood, you carry the scent of the Blood Sea contract on you. I can recognize it as soon as I smell it." Sue Cher tried asking, "I wonder if you and my teacher, dash, he's chasing after me," the wooden woman curtly answered. Sue Cher wiped the sweat off her forehead. "Relax, little girl, I won't become your teacher's wife." The wooden woman saw how nervous she was and told her. The big rooster had been holding his breath the entire time, only laughing as he heard that. "That's right, that Lord of Blood guy is too weak. He doesn't look like a real man at all." At this point, exquisite utensils appeared on the long dining table. Various dishes were placed on the plates one by one. "Let's dig in, I'm starving," the big rooster said. The wooden woman glanced through all the dishes and complained, "Why isn't there any chicken?" The big rooster paused, then awkwardly said, "About that, let's not eat chicken. You're not a chicken, you only look like one. Can you not get in the way of me eating chicken?" the wooden woman asked. The big rooster thought for a bit, then suddenly slammed the table. "That's right, I'm not a chicken." He ordered a chicken sandwich, a bowl of black chicken soup, and a braised chicken. It was now that the wooden woman's eyebrows loosened. "You're not bad, much stronger than Bloodcloak," she blew into the big rooster's ear. The big rooster squinted his eyes and flatly replied, "Of course, my lady." The wooden woman nodded satisfyingly, elegantly picked up the bowl, and began to drink the black chicken soup. The big rooster's eyes turned around, looking at Gu Qingshan. "Brat, other than this lady, if anyone else in the 900 million world layers dares to mention chicken dinner to me, I'll beat them up until even their own mothers won't recognize them. This is a matter of principle." He sent his voice solemnly. Gu Qingshan tried her best to keep her expression unchanged. "Very well, a strong person should have their own principles," he replied with an extremely serious tone. The big rooster nodded satisfyingly. After such a sumptuous dinner was finished, it was already late at night. The two of them left the dining hall. As they said their goodbyes, the wooden woman didn't say anything and placed a leaf in between Sue Cher's eyebrows. The leaf gave off a jade-like glow and slowly sank into Sue Cher's eyebrows. "Although I don't know how to prophesize, I can still tell that your future is a bit worrying," the wooden woman said. "It's nothing really," Sue Cher forced a smile. Gu Qingshan silently listened on one side without saying anything. Hearing Sue Cher's words, the wooden woman shook her head. "Little girl, don't be careless, this leaf is just a small bit of protection from me," Sue Cher politely replied. "Thank you, how should I address you?" The wooden woman waved her hand and didn't answer. She headed to the other side of the street. "Very well, we'll see you tomorrow, the holiday is still long." The big rooster also said goodbye to the two of them. He quickly chased after them. Gu Qingshan and Sue Cher stood there for a while until the two of them disappeared around the corner. "She said that your future is worrying." Gu Qingshan's expression was a bit worried as she told Sue Cher. "It's fine, I have a very powerful Shifu. Did something happen?" "Shwe-er, you have to tell me." Seeing his unquestionable expression, Sue Cher smiled. "All right, it's just a small matter, let's find a place to stay first, I'll tell you later at night." Gu Qingshan nodded. "How was your meal?" Sue Cher asked caringly. "I'm full, let's go, we should also find a place to rest." "Yeah, I'm sleepy, let's go, let's go." There were a lot of inns in the town. After looking around for a while, Gu Qingshan and Sue Cher both decided on a quiet and secluded inn. Sue Cher took Gu Qingshan's ID and went to register. From this point on, Gu Qingshan felt that something was wrong with Sue Cher. She was visibly nervous. Strange, Gu Qingshan's doubts grew. But a few moments later, Sue Cher returned with a small, intricate key in her hand. She held the key and tapped it in the air. A door opened. Sue Cher held Gu Qingshan's hand and went in. "Look, this is the dormitory I asked for," Sue Cher said. Gu Qingshan looked around the room. Sure enough, this was a normal female dormitory without missing a single detail. Alright, then where do I sleep? Gu Qingshan asked. You sleep here, what about you? I'll sleep here as well, what? This time, it was Gu Qingshan's turn to be nervous. At the same time, he vaguely understood why Su Cher was so nervous. If that's the case, it's normal for her to be nervous. While Gu Qingshan was thinking, a small, fragrant body embraced him. Su Cher. She hugged him. The girl closed her eyes, looked up and lightly kissed Gu Qingshan. Time seemed to have stopped. Gu Qingshan had thought of many scenarios, considered the various dangerous situations Su Cher might face, and was prepared to listen to what Su Cher had to say. But he didn't think Su Cher would do this. This was a moment that had never happened before. All of Gu Qingshan's doubts and thoughts disappeared. Their lips parted. Su Cher stroked Gu Qingshan's face and whispered, "Go to sleep, Qingshan." Gu Qingshan slowly closed his eyes and fell backwards onto the bed. Su Cher silently stared at him and lightly picked up a transparent piece of paper from her lips. As the transparent piece of paper left her lips, it slowly turned into a card in her hand. There was nothing else on the card except a pink lipstick mark. The witch's gift kiss. The person kissed by this card will fall into a wondrous dream that lasts for 3 days. Only those who have the same kissing skills as the witch would be able to escape the dream. Su Cher put the card away and sat on the edge of the bed. She silently stroked Gu Qingshan's face. She didn't say anything and only stared at him longingly. At a certain point, Su Cher's body began to ring, followed by a blinding light. The call of the bramble birds. 1 hour in the outside world was equivalent to 1 day here. It was still time. Su Cher sighed. Qingshan, you've eaten the skeleton, which means you've become demonized. She finally told him the truth. While I'm holding that card, what I'm facing is a void of nothingness. This is because I've finally managed to escape from my original fate. From now on, there's nothing that can bind me or order me around. Su Cher put the witch card away and took out the Predictor of Fate card. She put the Predictor of Fate card into Gu Qingshan's pocket. Right now, I only need to do what I truly want to do. Because of that, I've already taken care of all the dangers that lie ahead of you. According to the card's prediction, as long as I take them on for you, you'll be able to safely pass this obstacle and become a peerless combatant. Saying so, Su Cher warmly smiled. You only need to sleep here and wait for me to return. Saying so, Su Cher took out a card and threw it in the air. The card instantly enveloped Gu Qingshan. Binding oath: the target under this card's effect will only be able to move within a 5-meter radius, unable to leave. Su Cher thought for a bit and took out another card. This card was different from the previous ones. It gave off a blood-like glow. The Lord of Blood was standing on top of the card, holding a shield in his hand. Blood Sea Deck. Demon Lord's Protection. Once this card is activated, it will create a protective barrier of runes at a specific location. No person or attack will be able to break through the barrier. Su Cher activated this card. A blood-colored barrier manifested from the card and enveloped the entire room. 3 cards. The first one made Gu Qingshan fall into a deep sleep. The second one was to prevent him from waking up prematurely, forcefully trapping him in this room. The third one, although no one could be harmed within a bowl, Su Cher still took out her strongest defensive card to protect this room. Now that all 3 cards were activated, Su Cher could finally relax. Stroking Gu Qingshan's face, she muttered, "If I don't return," she kissed Gu Qingshan. This time it was a true farewell kiss. "You have to live on." Saying so, she disappeared from the room. Only Gu Qingshan was left in the room. Gu Qingshan was lying on the bed, his eyes closed without moving. The fiendish bestowal kiss will make him fall into a deep sleep for 3 days. During this process, the call of the bramble birds will end. In fact, when the time to enter comes, everyone will also be sent into their world. Only some will be able to challenge it first. If that's the case, Gu Shan won't be able to make it in time for the call of the bramblebirds. These 3 cards will ensure that he won't be able to do anything, and won't be in any danger. Time slowly passed. The spatial fluctuations caused by Su Cher's departure slowly subsided. The room became silent. All of a sudden, an autumn water clear blue sword appeared from the void of space, circled once in the air, then turned into a blue dress maid. Shanu. Looking at Gu Shan's sleeping appearance, she felt troubled. Gongzi is asleep, what should I do? Of course, as the spirit of the divine sword, she can break all laws. But Su Cher was extremely smart. All of her spells were targeted at Gu Shan, and she only used them when Gu Shan was least prepared. Shanu could break all laws, and she wasn't affected by the cards. But since Gu Shan wasn't able to defend against them, she was already hit. And now Gu Shan couldn't escape from these 3 cards. Shanu stood by the bed, feeling troubled, but also touched. She couldn't help but sigh. Who would have thought such a girl really exists in this world? Suddenly, a male voice called out. What kind of girl? She's nothing but a silly little girl. Chapter 574. Gu Shan sat on his bed, glancing at the war god Ui. Lines of glowing text were scrolling across his retina, recording everything that happened just now. As soon as the card touched him, it was captured by the war god Ui. Right away, the war god skills tab was activated. You've come into contact with a card. This card had once performed a god's chosen skill, Witch's Bestowal Kiss. Witch's Bestowal Kiss. The person kissed will fall into a beautiful dream that lasts for 3 days. Only those who have the same kissing skill as the witch can escape the dream. To comprehend this skill, 10,000 soul points is required. Do you want to learn this skill? Special note: if you learn the witch's kiss, your kissing skill will automatically be upgraded to max level. In that split second, Gu Shan reacted. Without hesitation, he spent 10,000 soul points to comprehend the witch's kiss. Because of that, he was exempted from this god's chosen skill. Right now, Gu Shan was sitting on his bed, complaining to the war god Ui. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Even the Tai sword array that I just learned only cost 2,000 soul points. Why does the kissing skill need 10,000 soul points? Ting. The system replied. An excellent kissing skill can help you subdue women who are 10,000 times stronger than you, but the Tai sword array can't do that. Gu Shan fell silent. That seems to be the case. But I don't need to subdue women who are 10,000 times stronger than me, do I? Gu Shan didn't get tricked and asked again. If you regret it, you can spend 100,000 soul points. The system will retract this skill and let you fall back into slumber. The war god Ui replied. Gu Shan could only shrug. There's no way to continue this conversation. He looked at Shanu. Shanu's eyes were still red. Are you feeling moved by that silly girl? Gu Shan asked. She's not being silly, she's doing it for your own good. Shanu couldn't help but speak up for Su Cher. Gu Shan said angrily, since we've decided on each other, then no matter what happens, we should face it together. Besides, there's one thing she hasn't figured out all this time. What is it? Nothing can stop her, man. Gu Shan said and stood up. He strode out. Dong. There was a loud noise. He hit a transparent wall and squatted down, covering his head in pain. Her man was stopped, Shanu seriously told her. Gu Shan covered her head with one hand and tried to touch the transparent barrier with the other. What is this? He asked with a gasp. I forgot to tell you, when you concealed your presence and pretended to sleep, Su Cher added a few more barriers to protect you, Shanu told him. Gu Shan placed her hand on the transparent barrier. A few lines of glowing text appeared on the war god Ui. Binding oath. Target under this card's effect can only move within a range of 5 square meters, unable to leave. This is a soul binding technique. The range of this technique is 500 million kilometers. As long as you are within 500 million kilometers, it will be able to detect your soul, and it will remain in effect the description. Because you've already been hit by this card, it is impossible to escape afterwards. The special description. This is a technique card specially crafted by the Lord of Blood. You won't be able to completely cut through it with your current strength. Gu Qingshan read through the skill description and smiled. She's learned quite a few tricks. Unfortunately, she doesn't know that I have a sword that can cut through all laws. Shanu understood. She flew back into Gu Qingshan's hand and turned back into the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword. A sword phantom flashed. The sword cut through the transparent barrier like it was cutting through a pool of water. Wherever the sword passed, the barrier was cut open. But as soon as the sword left, the barrier returned to its original state. Gu Qingshan. Shanu. The Six Paths Great Mountain Sword could indeed cut through the barrier, but only by allowing it to pass through. Gu Qingshan couldn't go through. Gu Qingshan let go of the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword and drew the Earth Sword instead. Break! Gu Qingshan shouted and swung the Earth Sword at the barrier. The 86,370,000 tons Earth Sword slammed into the barrier and went straight through. This barrier didn't seem to be able to stop any attacks, but it still wouldn't let Gu Qingshan go through. Gu Qingshan tried using the Chao Yin sword and many other warp formations, but the result was the same. He couldn't leave this place. Gu Qingshan roared in anger. Su Sher has already left. If I can't make it in time, I'll miss the call of the bramble birds. How can I let Su Sher bear everything for me? Gu Qingshan was a bit anxious. The three swords hovered in the air, silently watching as he walked back and forth inside the barrier. The Chao Yin sword let out a confused woo-woo sound. He's troubled, Shanu explained. That's right, and he's very annoyed, the Earth sword replied. He can only pretend to be asleep during his first kiss. He must be deeply regretful. The Chao Yin sword shook a bit, almost as if it was smiling. Gu Qingshan sighed and explained to the three swords. It can't be helped, that girl is too stubborn. If I don't pretend to be asleep, she wouldn't tell me what's on her mind. But now that you know the truth, you're trapped by her, the Earth sword said. It's only temporary, Gu Qingshan replied. He thought for a bit, then looked at the skill description on the War God UI. The binding vow has a range of 500 million kilometers? Gu Qingshan was surprised. If that's the case, if I can instantly travel 500 million kilometers, this technique might lose its effect. 500 million kilometers. Gu Qingshan fell into thought. After a while, he suddenly asked, System, when can I return to my original world? Ting. The system responded, You've completed the Destiny quest. Stay in the Justice Iron Fist Club. You can return to your original world at any time. Gu Qingshan was surprised. That's right, every time I complete a Destiny quest, I can return to my original world. And this time, I stayed in the Justice Iron Fist Club, but to awaken the new function of the War God UI, I haven't returned yet. Gu Qingshan began to think. Returning to my original world is definitely 500 million kilometers away. That way, the binding vow will be unlocked. The only problem is how to quickly return. If I'm late, I won't be able to make it in time for the call of the bramble birds. I have to get to a bull as soon as possible. Gu Qingshan suddenly remembered, every time I return to my original world for a period of time, I'll be able to travel to a new world. System, how long do I need to stay in my original world before I can return here? He asked. 1 day, I need 1 day? I won't be able to make it in time for the call of the bramble birds. Gu Qingshan unwillingly asked. Is there a way to shorten the time? There are two. The first one is to use up all the soul points you have. The second one, the closer you are to a bull, the shorter the warp time, because the system doesn't need to do a lot of preparation work before warping. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit. His original world is outside the 900 million world layers. That's too far. Too far. Wait a minute. I have the Justice Iron Fist Club's beacon on me, so I can directly warp back to the Justice Iron Fist Club. If the Justice Iron Fist Club is closer to a bull, I'll be able to shorten the time needed. And then, Meow can warp a person outside the 300 million world layers. The only drawback of her warp is that she can't pinpoint a person's location. Then I'll just let her warp a bit. In short, warping towards a bull will shorten the distance even more. This will greatly shorten the time needed. The first method requires me to use up all the soul points I have? Gu Qingshan asked again. The system replied, yes, that is the rule. Gu Qingshan shook his head. Soul points is the strongest power he knows. The Tianma called it divine power. He has a lot of use for this soul point. And Gu Qingshan has a feeling. If he doesn't prepare enough power to respond to the call of the bramble birds, then he'll face a hopeless situation. Fine, I'll choose the second method. You send me back, Gu Qingshan decided. He rubbed his palms together, preparing to return here as soon as possible. Lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Confirm order, begin preparations to return. 3. Return. A screen of light enveloped Gu Qingshan. Chapter 575. The Original World. The Freedom Federation. The outskirts of the capital. The mountaintop mansion. A screen of light appeared. Gu Qingshan appeared. As soon as he landed, he began to chant, Justice Iron Fist Club. Following his chant, a thin thread appeared in the void of space. This thread was the void string. One end of it was connected to him, the other end was connected to the faraway super-dimensional world. The Justice Iron Fist Club. Gu Qingshan pulled on this void string. The void string quickly reacted. It began to tighten at a very slow pace. Because they were too far away. Even though the super-dimensional beacon had been activated, the void string still needed some time to prepare. Sensing the void string's change, Gu Qingshan silently nodded. From this moment onwards, the beacon had already begun to warp. This was an irreversible, unstoppable process. Meow said that Gu Qingshan would be warped away in about half an hour. What can I do in half an hour? Gu Qingshan stretched his back. It seems there's nothing to do. The hollow brain in his chest pocket suddenly lit up. Sir, I'm so glad to see you. You've returned just in time. Impartial goddess voice came. HM? What's the matter? Gu Qingshan asked. We've run into a bit of trouble, impartial goddess replied. A lot of information appeared on the hollow brain. Starting from the day the demonic and demonic invaded, every major event that happened on the planet appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. The demonic and demonic invasion? Gu Qingshan scowled. How many demonic and demonic are there right now? I don't have much time. Prepare a lot of warp devices. I'll deal with this, as Gu Qingshan asked. He grabbed the earth sword from the void of space. He was ready to deal with this problem once and for all. No, sir, this isn't as simple as it seems, impartial goddess replied. More data appeared on the screen. From the current situation, several tens of thousands of wraiths and almost 100 demis were scattered all over the world. Listening to their conversation, the Azuras and Beast Kings were also hiding in the dark, eyeing them covetously. I see. This is troublesome. Gu Qingshan looked at the information and said with a headache. Super-dimensional teleportation was in progress. He only had half an hour. It was impossible for a single person to travel around the world and deal with all these threats in half an hour. The Azuras and Beast Kings were still in their own worlds and had not arrived yet. They are watching and waiting. To solve all the problems, Gu Qingshan had to spend a lot of time and energy. And there was no time at all. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath. He looked at the information carefully and tried to calm himself down. Just reading through the information and performing a simple analysis of the situation took almost 10 minutes. In 20 minutes, he would be teleported away. Gu Qingshan closed her eyes and rubbed her forehead. He quietly recalled all the information he had just read. Every wraith, every demi, everything they did, everything they said was displayed in Gu Qingshan's thoughts. See. Demis, every demi has a divine skill, our cultivators are no match for them. How do we get out of this situation? Gu Qingshan muttered. This was also a headache for Zhang Yongho. Impartial Goddess asked, Sir, do you need me to notify everyone that you've returned? Don't, I need some time to think. Gu Qingshan stood up and paced back and forth in the room. With absolute calmness, he was rapidly thinking like never before. No matter what happens to this world, he has to save Su Cher first. However, if I can come up with a feasible solution to this world's problems in just half an hour, wouldn't that be a win-win situation for everyone? With that in mind, Gu Qingshan immediately said, Please show me the information on number 7, number 93, number 136, number 385, number 614, I need to go through them again. Understood, sir. Various videos and information quickly appeared on the holobrain. At this speed, normal people wouldn't be able to see anything at all. But Gu Qingshan stared at the holobrain without blinking. If anyone else were to see this, they would definitely find it hard to believe. Too slow, increase the speed of data transfer, he ordered. Understood, sir, Impartial Goddess replied. Data was flashing and disappearing on the screen like a waterfall. This speed had already surpassed a human's recognition. While Gu Qingshan was seriously watching, occasionally nodding, as if confirming the situation. At some point, Gu Qingshan noticed something. He muttered, Whether it's the Demis, the Wraiths, or even the Azura and Beast Kings, they all want to obtain this world, not destroy it. Impartial Goddess followed up. That's right, sir. Mr. Zhang Yongho also came to the same conclusion. He noticed? Gu Qingshan smiled. Then why didn't he get rid of them? Mr. Zhang Yongho had used a lot of stratagems to achieve very good results, but the Demis are too strong, so his stratagems weren't able to play a decisive role. The Demis are too strong. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then asked, What about Yi Feili? He's a man-killer fiend, aren't you helping him grow stronger? Impartial Goddess replied. According to my calculations, his growth rate is indeed very fast, but according to the time frame, he won't be able to save this world in time. Why not? The strongest Demis are far stronger than any human can imagine. According to my calculations, this world will be taken over by the Demis in 2 days. Yi Feili won't even have time to grow up, so that's why. Gu Qingshan nodded. 23 minutes had passed. Gu Qingshan could slowly sense the void string. This string was trying to pull Gu Qingshan, wanting to take him away from this world. There's no time. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath, closed his eyes and thought for a bit. They don't want to destroy the world, they want this world, he began to mutter in a low voice. This seems to be a way for him to emphasize himself. He's asking himself to remember this crucial piece of information. Humans can't win against the Demis at all. Yi Feili needs more time to grow up. Gu Qingshan suddenly opened his eyes. He could feel it. The void string had gathered enough power to pull him back to the Justice Iron Fist Club. 1 second later, the void string will take him back to the Justice Iron Fist Club. In a split second, Gu Qingshan put his hand on the keyboard. There's no time to explain. He couldn't even finish a single sentence. 1 second, there's only. All authority can be given to Yi Feili. Gu Qingshan loudly said. He typed a few words on the keyboard at lightning speed. Ho! Chapter 576. Gu Qingshan left the original world. 10 seconds later. The World Allied Armies HQ. Impartial Goddess brought the words that Gu Qingshan left behind here. Zhang Yongho, Yi Feili, Liao Xing, the President of the Federation, Monarch Verona and Marshal Saint Zhang Zongyang were all gathered here. They stared at the screen and fell into thought. What was shown on the screen was completely out of their expectations. You could even say that it didn't match the current situation at all. only to see a single line of text on the screen: frowny face, the king of fighters, the final boss. No one could believe that this was the countermeasure that Gu Qingshan left for everyone. According to impartial goddess judgment, these words were left for Yi Fei Li, Zhang Yongho said. Yi Fei Li stood in front of the screen without saying a word. He seemed to be deep in thought. Yi Fei Li, what exactly do these words mean? Zhang Zongyang couldn't help but ask. Yi Fei Li didn't say anything. Liao Xing explained. The King of Fighters is a very famous game. Haven't any of you played it before? Zhang Zongyang shook his head. He looked at the others. How would I know? I've never played these boring games before, Monarch Verona said. The last time I played such a thing was when I was still in university, the president also said. For a while, no one said anything as they tried to think. The room fell silent. While everyone remained silent, Yi Fei Li suddenly let out a long sigh. Everyone turned to look at him with an expectant expression. Do you understand what Gu Qingshan meant? Zhang Yongho asked. I have understood something else, and it is also a very important thing. Yi Fei Li solemnly told everyone. Something else? Everyone was surprised. The most important thing right now is to decipher these words, so why did this brat think of something else? What do you mean? Zhang Yongho asked. I don't know if you feel this way. Clearing her throat, Yi Fei Li solemnly said, Actually, sometimes I really feel that life is like a play. Everyone listened to his words and revealed a puzzled expression. What was this kid talking about? Life is like a play? Can you be more specific? Liao Xing asked with uncertainty. Of course, what I really want to say is that sometimes I feel like I'm living in a play. What does that mean? Maybe it's a movie, a TV series, or even a novel. In short, I feel that life is very illusory, and we are all actors in these movies. As the people listened, they exchanged glances with one another. Living in a play? This kid must be sick in the head. Liao Xing, on the other hand, appeared contemplative. It's because you can feel that, that's why when you play the murder clown, you look so good. Zhang Yinghao also looked at Yi Fei Li with an appreciative look in his eyes. This is probably one of your innate talents as well as an innate sense of drama. Yi Fei Li's expression turned solemn as she spoke in a low voice. But from today onwards I no longer feel like this is a movie, a TV series, or even a novel. Why not? Liao Xing couldn't help but ask. Yi Fei Li looked at him and smiled. Because there has never been a movie in which the savior would run away at the crucial moment when the world is about to be destroyed, not being there at the scene, Yi Fei Li very seriously said. The savior must save the world. This is the iron rule of any story. Everyone froze. But Gu Qingshan ran away. Liao Xing clenched his fist. That's right, so he's not the savior, and this isn't a movie about him, Yi Fei Li confirmed. That's right. I like your conclusion. Liao Xing excitedly clenched his fist and bumped it with Yi Fei Li's. Everyone else was speechless. These are two lunatics. They could only silently say that in their minds. All right, if you two really have the guts, then tell me what these words mean. Zhang Yongho pointed at the screen. The screen was still showing the words that Gu Qingshan left behind. The King of Fighters, the final boss, Zhang Yongho continued. Gu Qingshan seems to be hinting to us that the secret to defeating the demons and gods lies with the final boss. The King of Fighters was a game that took the world by storm. The final boss was the most powerful enemy that the player had to face when they reached the final stage. Everyone exchanged glances. None of them understood why Gu Qingshan would leave behind a message related to the game. Liao Xing crossed his arms. I've played this game before, but I'm terrible at it, unable to defeat the final boss. I've already cleared it, and I know a secret method to adjust the game, Yi Fei Li said. You want to change the difficulty of the stage? Liao Xing asked. No, changing the difficulty would be pointless. I'll just call out the final boss and control him to clear the stage, Yi Fei Li answered. There's such a method? Quickly tell me what to do. Is the password up up down 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 ABAB? Liao Xing's eyes lit up. It's not. Yi Fei Li shook her head. It's useless even if I tell you, only the platinum contestants of the King of Fighters 20th Anniversary Tournament have the right to apply for a character swap. You're a platinum contestant? Liao Xing couldn't believe it. Only by completing all the achievements in the game can you qualify to become platinum. Yi Feili had a prideful expression on his face. Not just platinum, before the apocalypse I was ranked 7th in the world, but now I'm the world's #1. He puffed out his chest and looked at everyone, ready to receive their looks of worship. Unfortunately, most of the people here didn't think this was something worth bragging about. Zhang Yongho asked, "Does Gu Qingshan know about this?" "Of course, he's also an expert?" "No, he said that he didn't even have enough money to buy the normal version of the game back then, so he's always been envious of me." Zhang Yongho and Liao Xing exchanged glances. Liao Xing, "Then quickly call out all the skills of this character, let us all take a look at them." "No need," Yi Feili answered. He looked at the words on the screen and murmured, "These words were indeed left for me." Standing there, he couldn't help but tremble. "I know what he meant, yes, I know very well," he murmured softly. "You know what he meant?" everyone asked at the same time. Yi Feili licked his lips and excitedly answered, "That's right, I'm the clown, I beat the game of Eternal, I'm the final boss." Yi Feili gestured to the screen. Impartial Goddess spoke. "Mr. Yi Feili, the mech is ready, are you sure you want to go?" "I can't wait anymore." "Understood," Impartial Goddess replied. Following a series of mechanical noises, a cold set of armor rose up from the ground. This was a mobile mech that was about 2 meters tall. Its entire body was pitch black and emitted a cold light. It looked slender and slender. The strangest thing about this mech was its helmet. Because of this helmet, the mech was giving off a strange and indescribable feeling. Its eyes were empty, its expression was stiff, its nose looked like a long bird's beak, and its mouth was curling into a stiff smile. At first glance, it looks like it's trying to please someone, but if you look closely, you'll see that it's not smiling at all. It's more like a human who saw something terrifying and was about to fall into hysteria. Yi Feili walked forward and put her hand on the mech. The mobile mech began to emit streaks of blue lightning. Individual brain waves confirmed, "Begin equipping." The mech attached itself to Yi Feili's body, slowly assembling itself. Yi Feili disappeared from the world. The murder clown appeared in front of everyone. I've been gone for so long, but I've finally returned to the theme park." Chapter 577. The World Allied Armies HQ. The murder clown had finished its preparations and was ready to go. "What do you plan to do? How do you need our help?" Zhang Yongho asked. The murder clown put a finger on its lips. "Shoo!" It anxiously waved its other hand, signaling everyone to stay silent. So everyone stopped talking and just stared at it. The murder clown listened for a while. No one said anything. Everything became silent. The murder clown was satisfied. "Listen," it whispered. Everyone listened attentively and then looked at each other. There was no sound in the silence. "What do we need to listen to?" Zhang Yongho opened his palm, gesturing to the murder clown to ask. The murder clown lowered its voice. "It's always this calm before the storm, amidst the silence." The clown uttered these words as if he was chanting a spell. At this moment, it felt like it was the messenger of the storm. "Storm? What should we do next?" Liao Xing asked. Everyone also looked at the clown. "Humans can't win against demis. What's Gu Qingshan's strategy? Tell us." The murder clown took a deep breath, then suddenly screamed, look forward to it, friends, just watch because, a new game is about to begin." Boom! The clown broke through the roof and flew to the sky. In the blink of an eye, it was gone. "Crazy clown," Marshal Saint Zhang Zongyang muttered. "We're letting him go just like that? With his current strength, there's no way he can win against a demi," Zhang Yongho said. Impartial Goddess answered. Her Excellency Gu Qingshan has granted Mr. Yi Fei Li full battle authorization. All right, let's hope Gu Qingshan is right, Zhang Yongho sighed. Impartial goddess, please turn on the global surveillance. Let us see what he's going to do, the president said. Understood, please watch, impartial goddess answered. A large screen appeared in front of everyone. The murder clown was moving at high speed on the screen. It was heading towards the city where the wraiths gathered. With its strength, this was undoubtedly walking into a trap. Impartial goddess, does Yi Fei Li want to die? Zhang Yongho asked in a low voice. Impartial goddess replied. I'm not sure, but Sir Gu Qingshan has already authorized him to do whatever he wants, so I will not stop him. He doesn't seem right. If he wants to do something dangerous, are you not going to stop him? Monarch Verona couldn't help but ask. I won't stop you. Even if he wants to destroy the world, you won't care. Liao Xing asked. I will follow Her Excellency Gu Qingshan's orders and help Mr. Yi Fei Li destroy the world, impartial goddess calmly replied. An hour later, all over the world, all the wraiths and demis stopped their actions. This was because all the screens around them that could project images had all been switched on. They already knew that there were things in this world that could display images. But at this moment, all the devices in the world were projecting at the same time, and this was the first time they had seen such a spectacular scene. The scene was beyond their comprehension. Only to see a strange person appear on the screen. Rather than a person, it was more like a metal monster. The murder clown. Many people exclaimed in shock. These were all normal humans, but they had already joined the demis and became their dogs. There were also a few humans who had recently turned into wraith. These wraiths quickly explained the murder clown's background to the other wraith. In truth, no one knew the murder clown's background, but the things it did in the past had brought fear to humanity for a very long time. As the explanation went on, the wraiths and demis slowly learned about the murder clown's glorious past. What kind of existence is it exactly? A demi asked in confusion. Don't be hasty, let's see what it wants to do, another demi said. At this moment, all the demis, wraiths, and even humans were staring at the screen. The murder clown seemed to have noticed this situation. It raised its hand and began to count the seconds. 3, 2, 1, begin. A rock-style electronic music began to play on the screen. Along with the electronic music, various images appeared on the screen. These images were all of the demis fighting heroically, but after a while, it changed to the wraiths fighting. Watching the battle on the screen, the wraiths and demis couldn't understand. What's going on? I don't know, look, that's me, don't I look cool when I fight? That's nothing, look, that's me, I killed 5 mechs, the wraiths and demis discussed in a low voice. After the beautiful battle scenes were over, the music also faded away. The murder clown cleared its throat and began to speak. Then, the game has officially begun. Please form groups of 7 and sign up for this year's King of Fighters tournament. The final winner shall win this world. Silence reigned. The wraiths and demis were stunned. King of Fighters tournament? What's that? I'm not sure. Could it be some sort of ritual of this world? Sounds like it's related to fighting, they whispered to each other. The human traders and newly transformed wraiths then told them everything related to the King of Fighters. After a while, the wraiths and demis finally understood. So it's a game. The heavenly god remained silent. It was now that he sighed. There's really something wrong with this guy's head, who has the time to play games with him? On the other side, the Frost Flame Wraith King told the wraiths, "Oh, what a laughable guy, we don't need to pay attention to him." The Frost Flame Wraith King led the wraiths and was about to attack a new city. At this point, the murder clown spoke again. Maybe you think I'm crazy, or maybe you're just lazy and don't want to participate in this tournament. But I have to say, that won't do. The murder clown raised both of its hands and lightly clapped. Following its clap, the wraiths and demis all over the world stopped. They sensed something strange at the same time. The earth shook. The air currents in the sky changed very slightly. Something radioactive appeared, something that was extremely unfriendly to the world. This feeling caused the heavenly god's heart to sink. "Come, let's go see what's going on," the heavenly god ordered. "Yes, sir." The heavenly god brought a few dozen demis with him, flying like lightning towards the source of the tremor. Their speed was so fast that they quickly arrived at the scene of the commotion. When the demis arrived, the wraiths also arrived. The one leading them was the Frost Flame Wraith King. The wraiths and demis exchanged glances and looked at the scene of the commotion, only to see that in the middle of the desert, hot air was boiling, the presence of destruction was rampaging everywhere, the sky was filled with fine sand. "Can you feel it?" the heavenly god asked in a low voice. Chapter 578. "This clown is a madman I've never seen before," the heavenly god spoke in a low voice. The Frost Flame Wraith King didn't say anything and simply stared at the desert. In the desert, the intense heat flow didn't go away for a long time, making everything look twisted and unstable. The shock waves spread in all directions and disappeared, but the intense heat made this place look like hell on earth. The powerful heavenly god and wraiths weren't afraid of this power, but they were observing how it affected the world. Suddenly, dozens of flying machines appeared in the sky. The flying machines flew in front of them and projected their images again. The murder clown appeared in the projection. Following the intense electronic music, it took a pose as if it was strumming a guitar. Clang, clang, clang. 7 people per group. Sign up for the competition. The final winner will fight with me. Whoever defeats me will obtain this world. Otherwise, I will. The murder clown clapped its hands again. A vast and intense power manifested again. Heaven and earth trembled. "Damn it, it's using that ability again," the heavenly god spoke with a grim expression. The Frost Flame Wraith King didn't say anything and quickly flew towards the source of the power. The heavenly god waved his hand and led the demis to follow. A city. An abandoned city. This place had already been ransacked by the wraiths and demis. There were no longer any living beings, only empty metal buildings remained. When the wraiths and demis arrived, everything was already over. But they saw everything from the hollow brain. A giant mushroom cloud rose to the sky. The entire city was flattened in just a few breaths' worth of time. The heavenly god stood at the edge of the city, carefully sensing it. A few moments later, he spoke. "This power is useless against us, but it can greatly damage this world. In other words, this murder clown is an existence that specializes in destroying worlds?" The Frost Flame Wraith King thought for a bit. "I've asked my subordinates, they said it's a madman, it's done a lot of strange things, killed a lot of people, and doesn't have any goals. It wants us to join some kind of fighting tournament," the Frost Flame Wraith King said. All of a sudden, the murder clown appeared on the screen again. "Correct." Student Wraith King listened very carefully and was praised. "Unfortunately you don't accept cash, otherwise I would have given you 300 imperial coins as a monetary reward." The heavenly god looked at the clown on the screen and asked in a low voice, "What exactly do you want?" He turned his head and looked behind him. A demi who had been preparing for a long time finally smiled and said, "I'm ready." The next moment this demi suddenly disappeared. He has a movement skill that allows him to capture targets, so he'll be able to reach the murder clown in no time. Unfortunately, Impartial Goddess is watching the entire planet closely. The moment the descendant of God disappeared, the murder clown had finished warping. Everyone only saw the demi appear on the screen. But the murder clown was nowhere to be found. After a long-distance warp, the murder clown appeared in another city. The scene changed again, back to the murder clown. He whistled and clapped. "In order to fight against a big bad guy like me, your actions are truly heroic. To show my respect to you, I will once again make the world suffer." Bang! There was a violent explosion. Another nuclear explosion occurred at the place where the demons and gods gathered. The hemispherical flame engulfed the ground. Smoke and dust mixed together and rose rapidly into the sky. A large amount of sand and stones flew out along with the shockwave, crashing into various buildings and the ground, forming deep craters. After a while, everything calmed down. The wraiths and demi finally reappeared. Most of them looked a bit haggard, but they weren't heavily wounded. Only the weakest wraiths were killed. For most wraiths and demi, this level of attack power was only average. But the Heavenly God and Frost Flame Wraith King both had extremely ugly expressions on their faces. "Did you notice?" the Frost Flame Wraith King asked. "Yes, the void of space is producing stray radiation. Under this radiation, normal life forms will die within a few hours to a few weeks," the Heavenly God replied. "Not only that, if that clown continues to unleash this kind of attack, the entire world will be contaminated and destroyed." Following his explanation, a large projection appeared in the sky. The murder clown appeared. "Student Wraith King, you're such a smart one." While clapping, the clown spoke righteously. "But I won't continue to unleash nuclear attacks. You'll have to trust me on that." The murder clown looked left and right, then put its hand in front of its mouth and whispered, "Let me tell you a secret. I'm more inclined to unleash this kind of attack several 10,000 times at once to completely destroy this world." "No. You madman, what exactly are you thinking?" the Frost Flame Wraith King angrily shouted. The Heavenly God also looked at the screen. "You evil bastard, if you dare to continue destroying this world, I swear I'll tear you apart." If the human realm was completely destroyed, then all of their hard work would have been for nothing. A world full of harmful and useless energy wasn't worth fusing with. Furthermore, after fusing with it, it would cause irreversible damage to the Heaven Realm or Wraith Realm's environment. On the screen, the clown took out 2 cotton balls from its ears and threw them behind itself. It shrugged. "I didn't hear anything. Bullshit!" the Frost Flame Wraith King angrily shouted. The icy flames around its body abruptly expanded. Impartial Goddess noticed this change in just 0.01 seconds. She immediately made the decision. In a split second, the murder clown disappeared. 3 seconds later, the Frost Flame Wraith King appeared where the clown originally was. Boundless icy flames gathered around its body. It relied on frostfire to perform an extraordinary explosive charge. Unfortunately, even after charging for so long, it still missed. The murder clown disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. The Wraith King was the strongest wraith. With its strength, only the Heavenly God would be able to fight it. But even the Wraith King couldn't catch the clown. There was only a hovering aircraft that projected itself. Seeing this, the Heavenly God's heart felt heavy. The clown can destroy the world at any time, but no one can catch him. How do I get out of this? The murder clown appeared on the screen, clapping at the Frost Flame Wraith King. "What a brave challenger! To pay my respects to you, I've decided to flatten your half-built Wraith City and oh!" the Frost Flame Wraith King roared. The murder clown didn't seem to hear it at all, performed an elegant ballet on the screen, then suddenly turned around to face the screen and clapped its hands. "My apologies, Wraith King, there's no turning back now." Boom. The ground began to tremble again. Intense shockwaves filled the air. The screen turned into a snowflake. Loud noises could be heard. This explosion was much more intense than the previous 2. From the slight changes in the airflow, any combatant could easily tell where the explosion came from. The Wraith City. The Wraith King's territory that was only half built. A few moments later, another scene appeared on the screen. The half-built Wraith City had completely disappeared from the horizon. The ground was a mess. The Wraith King stared at the screen, frozen in place. The Wraith City was the base that it spent a lot of effort to build. It only just finished laying the foundation and taking its shape. But it was gone just like that. The Wraith King clenched its fist. "Don't be too excited, otherwise you'll fall for his tricks," the Heavenly God's voice came from the side. He stood next to the Wraith King with a serious expression. In just one day, it continuously unleashed large-scale attacks, not to mention the fact that these large-scale attacks have the ability to damage the world. Is this the clown's ability? The heavenly god calmly asked. Murder clown, what exactly are you trying to do? Ha, that's a good question. The murder clown threw the ice cream in its hand away, took out a handkerchief and wiped the outer shell of its metal mask. I want to play a game. Following the clown's voice, the electronic music on the screen began to become more and more intense. First round time, second round time, final round time, 18 tournament scenarios, 21 tournament rules, tournament apparel rules, as well as an electronic invitation letter. All of these things appeared on the screen one by one. Only by defeating me can you obtain this world. And I'm the final boss of this game. If you want to fight me, you must become the King of Fighters champion, otherwise, I'll destroy this world. Ahahaha, that's so fun. The clown laughed maniacally and disappeared. The entire world fell into a long silence. The heavenly god stared at the final rule. Only by defeating all competitors can you obtain this world. He clenched his fist tightly, muttering, This world. The humans of this world don't have the power to defeat demis. The only thing he has to worry about are the wraiths, asuras and beast kings. They also want to obtain this world. The heavenly god's thoughts slowly became clear. Very well, I'll use this chance to eliminate all threat. After that, I'll defeat the murder clown and obtain this world. But he didn't say that out loud, because the Frost Flame Wraith King was standing right next to him. Seems like there's no other way to obtain this world. I'll have to follow the clown's rules for now, the Frost Flame Wraith King sighed. That's fine too, since I've already seen through the human world. If I can use this chance to take the world for myself, it'll be worth it. The Frost Flame Wraith King silently muttered to himself. He brought the wraiths and left without looking back. The heavenly god didn't pay any attention to the wraiths' movements. He was already thinking hard. Thinking about how the demis should fight and coordinate with each other. The tournament rules state that 7 people to a group, 2 groups will fight each other, the winner qualifies to advance to the next round. A reasonable battle coordination will yield twice the result with half the effort in the tournament. The heavenly god had to worry about how each demi should be able to make the most of their potential. From this moment onwards, both the demis and the wraiths had entered a state of preparation for the King of Fighters tournament. The news spread like wildfire. The Asura and Beast Kings that had been hiding in the shadows couldn't wait any longer. They began to form their own teams. From a certain perspective, the Murder Clown's fighting game was in line with everyone's wishes. The strongest team gets everything. Using strength to determine who the world belongs to, this was the law of the jungle that was accepted by every world. At the same time, this also prevented a large-scale war, so even if they lost, their entire race wouldn't be wiped out. And regretting after the fact wasn't an option. Once the clown was angered, it would only need to unleash that kind of attack to destroy this world. Aside from that, the combatants of the tournament would definitely not allow the other side to leave the stage alive. Everyone was on guard against any enemies that tried to retaliate. This was going to be a tough battle. Chapter 579. On the other side, World Allied Army HQ. The Murder Clown armor had been dismantled. Yi Fei once again appeared in front of everyone. As soon as the armor left his body, the eerie and frenzied atmosphere also disappeared. This was a miraculous thing. How did I do just now? Yi Fei asked. Besides Liao Xing, everyone gave him a thumbs up. Yi Fei looked at Liao Xing. Liao Xing was a bit confused. Why is it that every time you act as the murder clown, I always feel like we're the villains? Yi Fei smirked, took a glass of liquor from Zhang Yongho and took a sip. What do we do now? Zhang Zongyang couldn't help but ask. Kill the wraith. Yi Fei casually threw the glass away and said, Impartial Goddess has set up a very long competition schedule, so I'll have enough time to become stronger. When the finals come, I'll appear as the final boss and eliminate the champion team. I know how much time I need to become stronger than them. Yi Fei Li's voice became cold. The damage this world has suffered, I want them to pay with their lives. Are you confident? The president asked. Impartial goddess voice came. Do not worry everyone, I will help him capture the wraith that are too scattered to help him grow faster, she then told Yi Fei Li. Extremely far away in the southeast direction, 2 low-level wraith that haven't been summoned by the Wraith King have been discovered. Please quickly go and kill them. Roger. Yi Fei Li waved his hand. The Forgetting River soul separating hook appeared from the void of space and attached itself to his left arm. I heard that those who are cut by you will temporarily forget everything. Yi Fei Li looked at the Forgetting River soul separating hook and said, That's right, as long as you can let me touch their bodies, I can make them fall into a trance, the Forgetting River soul separating hook replied. How interesting, what would it be like if the wraith lost their memories? You can try, then let's go. Boom. Yi Fei Li took the Forgetting River soul separating hook to the sky and flew away. Everyone stared at his back until he was out of sight, and no one spoke. Finally, Zhang Yongho took a deep breath. How could Gu Qingshan come up with such a plan? What is he doing? That's right, this is truly crazy. Liao Xing also sighed emotionally. I'm guessing that he must have something more important to do, otherwise he wouldn't have abandoned this world, in the deep space where they could not see. Yi Fei Li stepped into a circular metal ring. The fused planet was extremely large, 10 times larger than the original world. The distance between many cities had also increased by several times. That's why such a long distance requires a large warp device to reach. Fortunately, under Liao Xing's constant improvements, the warp technology had made great progress. Yi Fei Li was standing in the middle of the metal ring. The metal ring immediately let out a sharp whistling sound. The next moment Yi Fei Li disappeared. He appeared on a wide road. Yi Fei Li looked around. At the end of the road, 2 wraiths were fighting against a mech. Yi Fei Li wielded his hook and walked forward step by step. The 2 wraiths noticed him. The wraith repelled one of the mechs and asked with a strange tone, Who are you? These wraiths were converted from humans, so they remembered their past and knew how to speak human language. Because they had only just been converted, they were still weak, so the Devil King decided to let them participate in the tournament. Yi Fei Li looked at the wraith and whistled. If I wanted to act cool, I would say that I'm here to kill you, but this is a real world, and no one knows that I'm here to kill you, so I'm here to kill you. The 2 wraiths were confused. They were still humans in the past, so they still had a bit of human logic in their thinking. One of the wraiths asked, Is there a difference between those 2 statements? Of course there is, Yi Fei Li very seriously replied. Come to kill means that it hasn't been done yet, kill means that it's done, at some point. He was standing on the shoulder of one of the wraiths. He took out a snow-white handkerchief to wipe the blood off the hook. The 2 wraiths stood still. Suddenly, a line of blood appeared on their necks as their heads rolled down. The 2 headless corpses fell to the ground. Yi Fei Li jumped down, wielding the snow-white hook a few times. He appeared pleased. You don't really need to wipe me that clean, the Forgetting River soul separating hook said. I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a clean freak, especially when I'm killing people. Yi Fei Li threw the handkerchief away and apologized. Fine, do as you like, the Forgetting River soul separating hook expressed that it didn't mind. Yi Fei Li rested the hook on his shoulder and silently waited. A few moments later, Impartial Goddess' voice came. Please return to space and prepare for long-distance warp. This time's target is a relatively powerful wraith. Hearing that, Yi Fei Li couldn't help but crack his neck a bit and slightly move his shoulders. What's the matter? The hook asked. It's nothing, after playing games for so long, it's hard to avoid a bit of shoulder strain from sitting for too long. I guess I'll need to kill a lot more to clear up my meridians, Yi Fei Li lightly sang. La 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 la, a joyous leveling journey, forgetting all my worries, satisfying my body's desires. I love it all. He flew to the sky, heading towards space. On the other side, When impartial goddess relayed Gu Qingshan's words to everyone, Gu Qingshan had already arrived at the super-dimensional world. The Justice Iron Fist Club. Meow was sitting on a chair, smoothing out the notebook in her hand, trying to write down a few sentences. Not good, it's easy to get your royalties deducted if I write dirty stuff right now. I need to change the plot, Meow muttered. She was trying to come up with a plot. Suddenly, she stopped her pen and looked up at the sky. A black shadow descended from above, smashing a deep hole in the ground next to Meow. Ah, why did you come back? Meow asked in surprise. As Gu Qingshan climbed out from the hole, she immediately said, Hurry, I don't have time to explain, just send me towards a bull, I'm in a hurry. A bull? So that's where the bramble bird summoning is. Unfortunately, I can't warp there, Meow said. It's fine, as long as the location is about right, I have a way to get there myself. Then, wait a minute, Bali came out from the club. Your void string has already been used, it needs to be recharged, he scowled, staring at Gu Qingshan. Why do you have the aftermath of a card law on you? Did you run into trouble? Bali reached his hand out, lightly grabbing the void of space next to Gu Qingshan's shoulder. A blood-red glow appeared in his hand. That's right, this feeling is the Blood Sea deck. It's him, the Lord of Blood. Bali narrowed his eyes. Meow scoffed and said, That guy actually dared to touch one of our people? Bali clenched his fist. Seems like I'll have to fight him. Wait a minute, it's not what you think. Gu Qingshan hurriedly stopped Bali. He had no choice but to briefly explain what happened. Ah, then that friend of yours is Bloodcloak's disciple? Bali asked. Gu Qingshan replied. All right, Meow, recharge the void string and send him there. Got it, then. Qingshan, it'll take about 10 minutes to recharge. Can you haven't eaten yet? Bali and Meow exchanged glances and awkwardly smiled. Gu Qingshan facepalmed. Bali still hasn't fully recovered, so for the sake of caution, he hasn't left the club yet. If the two of them were to stay here, there wouldn't be anything for them to eat. 10 minutes, that's enough. I'll make a spicy hot pot for you. As soon as he said that, Gu Qingshan saw both Barry and Kitty's Adam's apple moved a bit. How long has it been since they last ate? Don't tell me they ran out of food after I left? That's completely possible. Then let's do that, Gu Qingshan said. He took out the ingredients, seasonings, pots and pans, and began to make the hot pot. 10 minutes later, the void string was fully recharged. The spicy hot pot was served. Gu Qingshan then took out a portion of the best ingredients and placed them on the table. These ingredients are quite good. If you prepare them, they should be enough for a few days. Yes, Bali and Meow both nodded. All right, send me away, I'm in a hurry. I'll do it. Meow put her hand on Gu Qingshan's back. A bull, it should be this direction. She looked up at the sky, confirming the general location of the warp. All right, I'm going to warp. Wait a minute, your position isn't right. Bali stopped her. He took out a piece of meat from the pot and ate. I remember a bull should be this direction. He pointed at the void of space with his chopsticks. That's not right, bro, you're wrong, it's clearly this direction. Sis, I don't agree with that. I used to go to a bull a lot. I know the correct direction better than you do, is that so? I still had a bit of money back then. Every time you went to a bull you would get drunk. I had to carry you back every time, so I'm definitely heading in the right direction. But every time I go there, I'm always sober. I remember it's clearly this direction. No, you're completely confused. The direction you're heading in is the space monster nest. We've been catching monsters there recently. The brother and sister began to argue. Gu Qingshan looked at where Meow was pointing, then at where Bali was pointing. Cold sweat dripped down her back. They were pointing in two completely opposite directions. If the warp was wrong, the call of the bramble birds would have nothing to do with Gu Qingshan. Chapter 580. The Justice Iron Fist Club. A cold breeze blew past. The brother and sister were pointing in two different directions, unable to convince the other. Bro, trust me, The direction I'm pointing to Gu Qingshan is the correct direction, Miao very seriously told him. No, sister, you have to listen to me this time. Bali stared straight into Miao's eyes. Why? Give me a reason. Miao was clearly a bit unconvinced. Bali shook his head, answering, because I'm the owner of the club, I've always been the one to make the decisions, but you can't decide a person's direction, Miao replied. The two of them continued to stare at each other without saying anything. Gu Qingshan, Bali suddenly turned to look at him. What kind of friend is the disciple of the Lord of Blood to you? Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. He looked at the brother and sister. Bali was staring at him. Miao was also staring at him. Both of them had expectant expressions, as if waiting for an answer. Girlfriend, Gu Qingshan answered. Bali looked at Miao and said nothing. Miao sighed and lowered her head. Then there's no other way, she lightly tapped Gu Qingshan's shoulder. Sha. In a split second, Gu Qingshan flew up to the sky. He was sent flying by Miao. But the direction he was flying towards was the direction Bali pointed out. How exactly did you decide on the right direction? From afar, Gu Qingshan's voice came from above. Bali and Miao didn't answer. They stood still and waited for a bit longer. He's gone far, Bali muttered. Yeah, there's nothing we can do. Since he's my girlfriend, we can only let him go to a bush, Miao said listlessly. Bali said, Now can you tell me why you plan to eject him toward Port Angel and Soup Town? Miao pursed her lips and did not speak for a moment. What? Is there anything you can't tell me? Bali smiled and said gently, Brother, I was going to send him to one of the two absolutely safe places and apologize to him later. I just need to say that I made a mistake and will be able to get away with it. I didn't expect his girlfriend to be in a bowl too. Miao lowered her head, closed her eyes, and remained silent for a while. Brother, do you still remember the alarm from 1,800 years ago? She suddenly blurted out such a nonsensical statement. The high tower alarm. The smile on Bali's face gradually disappeared. His eyes were cold, his entire demeanor was cold and stern like never before. Bali explained. That was the first time the demons appeared in the 900 million outer world layers. After that, the prosperous zones were completely taken over by the demons. The combatants of every world tried their best to defeat them. 100 years later, the 900 million outer world layers had no choice but to change the name of the prosperous zones to the fallen zones. After that, the day the Spire Keeper Association issued the alarm was confirmed by the 900 million outer world layers as the day the demons officially appeared. Bali gently stroked his sister's head and said, But aside from me, no one else knew that you already noticed the overlapping space 3 days before them. You even saw quite a few true demons through the cracks in space. That's right, at the time, I noticed that the prosperous zones overlapped with another strange space, but I didn't know that something like demons would appear, Miao muttered. She stared at the faraway void of space, as if there was something there. 1,800 years ago, the outer world had 4 main zones. The prosperous zones, the superdimensional zones, the strife zones, and the mystic zones. When the different space descended, the demons also descended and took over the prosperous zones. The prosperous zones also changed their name to the fallen zones. And now, the 200 million world layers of the fallen zones have become the demons' playground. That was a long time ago. What does it have to do with Gu Qingshan's whereabouts? Bali asked. Miao answered. Because he came from so far away to bring you the pixie crystal flower to help your leg heal, and because he's a decent person, I don't want him to go to a bull. You mean, it's been 1,800 years. Just now I sensed that strange fluctuation again. Bali looked at his sister and asked after a while, Are you sure? This was a huge matter that could affect the entire 900 million world layers, so he couldn't afford to make any mistakes in his judgment. I'm very sure that strange fluctuation has appeared again. I've sensed it a few times just now. It's the same fluctuation as before, and it appeared in a bull. It appeared in a bull. Bali sighed, finally accepting this fact. He muttered in a low voice. If that's true, then a full-scale war between the 900 million world layers and the demons is imminent, Meow continued. It's only just the beginning. That space is currently approaching the 900 million world layers, but it's hidden very well, only I can sense it. That's why you don't want Gu Qingshan to go? He's one of us, I have to consider his life first, but his girlfriend is about to enter. You can't stop him, you can only help him get there as soon as possible. That's right, no one can stop him, and no one should stop him. Meow sighed, looked at her brother, and appeared glad. It's a good thing that the calamity won't arrive for a few more days. At that time, your leg will be completely healed. How regretful that we didn't tell Gu Qingshan the truth, Bali complained. No, I told him. I left a letter in his inventory bag. As soon as he opens it, he'll see it. Then we need to quickly notify the entire 900 million world layers. No, Bali was surprised and asked, why not? Meow hesitantly spoke. Bro, I have a feeling, after thinking about it for so many years, I feel like when you were surrounded by the true demon army, it was all a trap. Meow clenched her fist. Why was I kept in the dark at the time? Why did you go to that place and run into an army of 600 million demons by yourself? None of this could have been a coincidence, you mean? That's right. Some of us have already joined them. Bali went silent, his expression cold and solemn. Meow continued. Bro, look, the call of the bramble birds started in a bull, but we couldn't get any information at all. I don't believe that our old friends wouldn't tell us anything at all. Communication was cut off. Bali muttered. That's right, Gu Qingshan's strength is too low, so those hiding in the shadows don't care about him, but you and I would definitely be closely monitored. If it weren't for the fact that we've kept this super-dimensional world under wraps and my ability perfectly fused with the super-dimensional beacon, no enemy would be able to do anything about it. If it weren't for that, you and I would already be nothing but a pile of bones. Bali silently nodded. If that's the case, before my leg fully recovers, we won't be able to get any information out. That's right, even if we tell them, no one would believe us. Because the other side would definitely have the appropriate measures, and because no one knows my true strength, no one would believe me, Meow muttered in a low voice. Bali sighed deeply and muttered, Gu Qingshan. His gaze was filled with unprecedented hesitation. Meow became anxious. She hugged Bali's arm and spoke softly. Bro, listen to me, you have to wait until your leg heals before you go out, otherwise not only will you not be able to save him, you'll also be killed by the enemy. But my leg needs at least 2 more days to fully recover, Bali gritted his teeth. You can't rush things in 2 days, I'll come with you to pick up Gu Qingshan. You're coming as well? Of course, I won't let you fight alone again, Meow answered. Bali silently nodded. My strength can only be fully exerted after my leg heals. If I go now, I won't be able to help at all, I might even lose my life. Right now, I can only pray that Gu Qingshan can make it through the next 2 days. Chapter 581. Gu Qingshan crossed his arms, allowing himself to travel through the boundless void of space. He sighed deeply, feeling a bit troubled and uncertain. How did I end up going in 2 different directions? What was the basis for me to fly in this direction in the end? Gu Qingshan couldn't help but feel anxious. Bali and Meow, these 2 siblings seem to be hiding something from me. But no matter what, I can't change the direction I'm flying in. As time passed, Gu Qingshan noticed that his speed was gradually increasing. But this increase in speed wasn't purely speed. At certain moments, he could even see the bright starry sky. Within the nebula, quite a few stars were undergoing changes. Stars were fading, supernovas were being born, all of them were giving off beautiful and illusory light. The starlight in space was reflecting the silhouettes of many space beasts from the darkness, forming colorful silhouettes in the distance. The translucent silhouettes of space beasts overlapped one another, mixing with the light. Just like how the starry sky was also overlapping. As time passed, The overlapping scenes became more and more numerous. Gu Qingshan could even see quite a few space beasts at the same point of view, their transparent bodies overlapping one another. There were even some strange creatures from the space vortex that occasionally appeared. Space overlapping? Gu Qingshan muttered to himself. If that's the case, I'm basically traveling through multiple world layers at the same time. This isn't normal. Miao sure is impressive. The only thing that worried Gu Qingshan was that he didn't know where he was going, or if he would be able to get close to a bull. At some point, the war god UI suddenly changed. Gu Qingshan hurriedly looked over. Lines of glowing text quickly appeared on the UI. Calculating spatial warp trajectory, the curved traversal route has been verified. The position closest to a bull will appear in 31 seconds. Current position is 671 world layers away from a bull. Conclusion. After 31 seconds, the system will perform return warp. You will soon return to your original location. Gu Qingshan's heart calmed down after a quick glance. Great, it seemed that Bali was heading in the right direction. Gu Qingshan was prepared. I must hurry up and get there. I must reach the call of the bramble birds. He had to find that silly girl, Su Cher. Gu Qingshan thought to herself. 30 seconds passed in a flash. A screen of light enveloped Gu Qingshan. He disappeared from the boundless void. A bull. Infinite World Town. At the hotel. The screen of light flashed as Gu Qingshan appeared. He took a few tentative steps. The transparent barrier had disappeared. As expected, the binding oath was nowhere to be found. It couldn't find Gu Qingshan's soul within the range of 500 million kilometers, so it automatically dissipated. Very good. Gu Qingshan strode towards the door. Now we can clang. He once again crashed into a blood-colored barrier. Damn it! Why is there still more? Gu Qingshan crouched on the ground, clutching his head, venting his emotions. Shanna flew out, looked at Gu Qingshan's pained expression and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Gongzi, Su Cher had set up 3 layers of protection. The first was her kiss, the second was the barrier just now, and this is the final layer of protection, that girl. Gu Qingshan gritted his teeth and reached his hand out to touch the blood-colored barrier. Following his touch, a few lines of glowing text appeared on the war god UI. Blood Sea Deck. Demon Lord's Protection. After this card is activated, it will create a protective barrier of runes at a specific location. No person or attack will be able to break through the barrier. A description. This is the deep protection of the Lord of Blood for his disciple. Gu Qingshan was speechless. According to the skill description, this card is even more powerful than the binding oath from before. What do I do now? Seeing him blanking out, Shanu became worried. Gongzi, what do we do now? Young Lady Su might already be fighting. Gu Qingshan stayed silent for a bit, then suddenly smiled. Shui-er, oh Shui-er, I'm actually a bit relieved that you have so many tricks up your sleeve, he muttered in a low voice. Ah? What do you mean, Gongzi? Shanna was a bit surprised and asked. We're not going to play with her anymore, we're going to directly leave, Gu Qingshan said. Directly leave? Shanu didn't understand. That's right, we're going to ask for help, then leave. Shanu still didn't understand. There weren't many people in Infiniworld's village right now. Even the inn was a self-service hotel with no one on duty. Gongzi can't even leave this barrier, so how would he ask for help? Who would he ask for help? Who would be able to break through the Blood Sea's strongest protection? Gongzi, what should we do? Just do as I say, like this. Gu Qingshan explained everything in a few words. Shanu turned around and turned into the 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword. The sword gave off a faint chill as it pierced through the blood-colored barrier. Indeed, the 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword could break through all laws, so Shanu was able to leave. The sword turned around in the air and flew to the highest point of the inn. Shanu stood on the roof of the inn, looking down at Infiniworld's village under the night sky, and took a deep breath. She shouted as loud as she could, "Is there anyone here? We'll treat everyone to a chicken dinner. Her voice traveled very far in the silent night sky, even echoing from the mountain range on the other side. Everything slowly became silent. Shanu waited for a few moments. Nothing seemed to have happened. All of a sudden, a vast amount of power formed a vortex that gathered at a certain location in Infinity World's village. A furious voice broke through the night sky and resounded across the entirety of Infinity World's village. Fucking hell, let's see who dares to eat chicken dinner. Following this voice, a black figure quickly flew from the other side of Infinity World's village. This black figure was both fast and furious, as if it was filled with endless rage. When it got close enough, Shanu recognized its appearance. Sure enough, it was that prideful rooster. Shanu calmed down. She turned into a sword and returned to the inn. The big rooster came one after another. He broke through the outer wall of the inn and landed in front of Gu Qingshan's room. You inside, listen to this great one, the big rooster shouted. He was a bit surprised, then carefully sensed it. Strange, this is the Blood Sea deck. The big rooster's anger slowly subsided and thought. I remember Gu Boy's female companion was Blood Sea's disciple. Could it be? With that in mind, he reached his wing out to knock on the door. Bam! A flash of blood. The big rooster's wing was knocked back. The Blood Sea deck, so it was them. That's strange, why did they lure me here? The big rooster thought in confusion. At this point, Shanu flew out from the room and landed in front of the big rooster. Greetings, esteemed sir. Gu Qingshan hopes that you can help him with a small matter, Shanu smiled and said. Chapter 582. Following Shanu's explanation, the big rooster slowly understood what was going on. TSK, that blood cloak guy looks so mediocre, I didn't think he would find such a good disciple. The big rooster laughed. Please help Gu Qingshan, Shanu said. Fine, it's nothing, not to mention I owe Iron Fist Bali a favor, but I won't be able to help Gu Boy too much from now on. He'll definitely be a henpecked husband. While mocking Gu Qingshan, the big rooster poked at the barrier with his beak. Boom! His attack touched the barrier. Like a waterfall of blood, it shot all the way to the sky. The big rooster screamed in pain as he was knocked back a few dozen meters. The barrier was untouched. Shanu. The big rooster. Peh, I don't believe it. The big rooster stood back up, angry. He regained his composure, threw himself at the barrier with all his might and started pecking at it. While pecking, he screamed and slammed his wings against the blood barrier. The loud sound echoed across the entire village. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Boom. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Boom. Cluck, 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 cluck. Boom. Shanu covered her ears and retreated behind the barrier. Gongzi, what is he crying out for? Shanu silently asked. You don't want to know, Gu Qingshan replied. A few moments later, the big rooster finally succeeded. The blood-colored barrier exploded into ruby-like fragments, clanking as they fell to the ground. These beautiful fragments then turned into mystical runes that silently disappeared into the void of space. Gu Qingshan stood up from the bed and quickly left the room. Thank you very much, he sincerely said. If it weren't for the fact that I had no other choice, I wouldn't have asked you to come here. It's no big deal, it's only a small matter. You know, against a weakling like Bloodcloak, I can easily do that, the big rooster replied. He hid the half-burnt chicken wing behind his back, not letting Gu Qingshan and Shanu see it. Gu Qingshan smelled the fragrance, couldn't help but rubbed her stomach and told the big rooster. I'll take you to dinner later, but I'm in a hurry right now. I need to answer the call of the bramble birds. As he spoke, he took out his golden card and prepared to leave for the Abol Hotel. What? The call of the bramble birds? The big rooster grabbed him. Yeah, is there a problem? Gu Qingshan asked curiously. You've missed the time. The Light of Dawn Triest had just finished her summoning. All responders have entered her wings to help her resolve some minor issues. Gu Qingshan was stunned. What? It's already over? How regretful you couldn't make it to the call of the bramble birds this time, the big rooster said. Gu Shan calmly said, "This isn't right. I remember that its call will last for 7 days. Why did it stop now?" Because there were too many people who responded. Triste felt that there were enough people. If she continued, we wouldn't be solving her problems but creating more problems, so she stopped. Gu Shan. This isn't going to be good. If I don't successfully respond to the call of the bramble birds, I won't be able to unlock the new function of the War God UI. If I don't respond to the call of the bramble birds, I won't be able to meet up with Su Cher. Su Cher has already gone through all the danger. Do I just have to watch from the sidelines? Definitely not. Gu Shan thought for a bit, then asked, "Brother Rooster, please call me Grandpa Rooster. Grandpa Rooster, is there any way to contact the Light of Dawn Triste? I need to ask her face to face. I hope that she'll let me enter her world." The big rooster appeared troubled. "My relationship with them isn't too good. Why is that? The bramble birds' etiquette is too complicated. I've always been annoyed by their way of doing things. Is there no other way? You're a member of the club, I'm quite close to Bali, and you're a smart one. How about this? Let me think about it." The big rooster fell into thought. He was pacing back and forth in the hallway. Gu Shan stood on one side and didn't disturb him. A few moments later, the big rooster suddenly stopped. He quickly turned around and looked at Gu Shan. "I know of someone who can act as a go-between, but whether or not you can move this person and have her speak for you will depend on your own abilities." "Who is it?" "You've met her before." "I have?" "Yes, we even had a meal together yesterday. I think it's best if you bring her a decent gift after all, she's an esteemed person." A minute later. Outside Infinity World's town, in a forest, Gu Shan and the big rooster were standing in front of a towering tree. The big rooster appeared a bit hesitant and said, "Gu boy, you know it's a bit rude to knock on a woman's door in the middle of the night, especially when it's her door, unless you have a good reason." Gu Shan replied, "Don't worry, I've already made the necessary preparations." "Really? Then that's fine." The big rooster sighed in relief and knocked on the tree's door. An impatient female voice called out, "What is it?" "I'm busy, Gu boy said he has a gift for you." While saying that, the big rooster instinctively hid behind Gu Shan. He tapped Gu Shan's back, signaling Gu Shan to speak. "A gift?" The female voice raised a bit. Gu Shan cleared her throat and spoke. "Indeed, esteemed lady, after meeting you today, I had an idea." "What idea?" "I feel that I have a few treasured items that might be worthy of your peerless beauty. After a few hours of careful consideration, I've decided to present these items to you as a gift." "A gift?" the female voice muttered. Her tone was no longer impatient, but rather curious. "Come in." Following that, a door appeared in the middle of the towering tree. The door opened by itself as a winding wooden staircase appeared in front of Gu Shan's eyes. "Let's go. It's best if your gift can please her, otherwise I'll be leaving first." The big rooster lowered his voice and said. Don't worry," Gu Shan reluctantly replied. "Since there's no other way, I can only take a risk." They followed the long staircase up until they reached the top of the tree. The wooden beauty was currently lying on a rocking chair, enjoying the night sky full of stars. "How strange, a few of the eternal stars are becoming dim. This is very rare," the wooden beauty muttered. Her expression was confused and annoyed. When Gu Shan and the big rooster appeared in front of her, she turned her attention to them. "Brat from the club, you came to deliver a gift this late at night. Is there something urgent you need from me?" the wooden beauty asked directly. "Madam, let's not talk about that first. What I want to say is, if my gift can't please you, please forgive my rude intrusion this time," Gu Shan said. The wooden beauty quietly listened to his words and nodded slightly. "Not bad, a polite little guy." Gu Shan tapped his inventory bag and took out a box made entirely from spirit jade. A letter was fluttering its wings, about to come out from the inventory bag together with the spirit jade box. Strange, what kind of letter is this? Gu Qingshan was silently surprised. But since this wasn't the right place, Gu Qingshan didn't have the time to care about this letter, so he temporarily put it back. He lightly put the spirit jade box on the table. This was a treasure box carved from top-grade spirit jade. The floral patterns on the surface were extremely lifelike. As soon as the jade box was taken out, it began to exude abundant spirit energy, quickly filling the entire top of the tree. This kind of spirit jade was a treasure that couldn't even be bought with a sky-high price in the cultivation world. But Gu Qingshan only used it as a box. The wooden beauty raised her eyebrows in surprise. This simple yet elegant packaging seems to be quite tasteful. Staring at the jade box, the wooden beauty was finally a bit interested. What's inside? She wasn't in a hurry to take a look and only smiled as she asked. From the looks of it, she was enjoying this gift-guessing process. Gu Qingshan didn't have time to play with her and directly answered. The limited edition pink phantom wings of the Pixie Kingdom from 1,000 years ago, as well as the limited edition pink diamond bikini that was sold at the time. The wooden beauty's smile froze. She opened the jade box. 2 pink items were neatly placed inside the jade box. The pink wings gave off a soft, misty light as thin as a veil. The pink bikini flew out and hovered in the air. It immediately saw the wooden beauty. Esteemed, elegant, charming, and beautiful lady, I am Lamont's limited edition pink diamond bikini. Pleased to meet you, the bikini politely said. The wooden beauty stared at the bikini. This was indeed a design from 1,000 years ago. But lately, retro styles have been trending. After 1,000 years, in the current 900 million world layers, there were very few people who could have both of these items and keep them in such perfect condition. No, there shouldn't be any. The wooden beauty lightly held her chest and spoke with uncertainty. I heard that both of you have a serial number, indeed, a small symbol of status. The bikini displayed a unique line of characters. The pink wings also flew out and displayed a unique line of characters on its body. As the wooden beauty read the characters, a smile slowly appeared on her face. No one can imitate the pixie's unique symbol. It seems you really are one of their fabrics. The wooden beauty recalled something and continued. The pixie's fabrics are very fragile. As soon as they are examined, they will be destroyed, so I have a question to ask you in person. Ma'am, please ask, the pink wings replied. The wooden beauty continued. Truthfully, I'm someone who cares a bit about things that have been worn by others, even if it's a precious fashion collectible. So you've always been a collector, have you never been worn by anyone? About that, as the pink wings was about to say something, the bikini lightly nudged it. The bikini asked, Pardon me for asking, but if it's a lowly, dirty piece of clothing that has been worn by someone else, what would you do with it? You're a precious collector's item, so I won't do anything to you. At most, I'll just keep it as a collector's item, but I'll kill the person who wore it. Time froze for a split second. Gu Qingshan almost wanted to wipe the sweat off her forehead. Both of these items seem to have been used by me. Then, please state your answer, the wooden beauty said. Don't worry, no one has ever used us. Indeed, we deeply desire to touch skin, because we've never known what it feels like. Chapter 583. Hearing them, the wooden woman gladly replied, Since you've never been worn by anyone before, I'll add you to my wardrobe from now on, not just a collection room. At your service, my lady, the bikini and the pink wings replied in unison. Gu Qingshan's expression didn't change, but she silently sighed in relief. Youngster, how is it, aren't we good friends? The bikini silently sent his voice. Very good. Gu Qingshan also sent her voice. The pink wings sent their voices. Perhaps you don't know this, esteemed lady, but to be able to become her personal wardrobe, we have no regrets in our lives, so we're very grateful to you and don't want any misfortune to befall you. Thank you, Gu Qingshan replied. At this point, the wooden woman smiled at Gu Qingshan and said, Normally, I don't accept gifts from others, but these 2 gifts of yours are very much to my liking. Please accept them, Gu Qingshan said. The wooden woman nodded, waved her hand, and the 2 pink fashionable items disappeared. She accepted Gu Qingshan's gifts without hesitation. Young one from the Justice Fist Club, you've really put in a lot of effort. Your gifts are also very precious. Even my mood has improved a lot. It is my honor. Tell me your request. If I can do it, I'll consider it seriously. I miss the call of the bramble birds, but I have to go. So it was that. The light of dawn. Triste and I are quite close. She's probably still attending the little bramble bird princess's coming-of-age banquet. The banquet will last for 3 days and 3 nights. Wooden woman stood up. Let's go, she said. Come with me to the banquet. I'll ask her to let you in. Gu Qingshan was overjoyed and clasped her fist. Thank you very much. Then what about me? The big rooster asked hesitantly. You still want to stay at my place? Come with me to the banquet. The wooden woman glared at him and said, It would be my honor. The big rooster became excited. He silently gave Gu Qingshan a thumbs up. Who would have thought that doing someone a favor would indirectly shorten the distance between them? What an unexpected harvest. A Bull Hotel. The entire hotel was immersed in the beautiful and elegant sound of music. Everyone was dressed in their best clothes, bowing to each other, whispering to each other as they walked. The bramble birds were an aristocrat of the mystic zones, who paid a lot of attention to etiquette. All kinds of exquisite food were placed on exquisite trays, frozen by clouds of colorful mist. This was the mist of time that came from the mystic zones. It was a good thing for preserving food. Only when the food entered one's mouth would the fog of time disperse, and the original taste of the food would burst forth on the tip of the tongue. This ensured that the food would always taste the most delicious during the banquet. While walking, the big rooster turned to Gu Qingshan. I really can't stand the bramble bird's way of doing things. What style? Gu Qingshan was confused. Look over there, there's a 12-layer cream cake, and look over there, that gray sack is called the endless candy sack. Every table in the banquet is filled with endless delicacies. But the bramble birds never take a single bite. Look over there, a 12-layer cream cake, and look over there, that gray sack is called the endless candy sack. No, they don't. They think it's bad manners to eat on a solemn occasion. They won't. They believe that eating in such a solemn occasion is rude for the guests. What's wrong with that? The big rooster opened his eyes wide. It's not like that. Whenever they see the guests eating, they would always smile pridefully, as if the guests had committed some sort of grave offense in front of everyone, and they're tolerating their rudeness. Don't you think that's disgusting? Quiet down, the wooden woman glared at him. The big rooster immediately shut up. The wooden woman led Gu Qingshan and the big rooster through the banquet hall, the small banquet hall, the ball hall, and finally arrived at the innermost private room. 2 bramble bird royal guards with cold expressions were standing guard at the door. As the 3 of them walked in, the 2 guards greeted them. My apologies, this is the royal family's resting area, please. The wooden woman picked up an invitation card with her fingertips. Seeing this invitation card, the 2 guards both took a step back and bowed. The heart of myriad trees, spirit of the holy tree of eternity, a friend of the bramble bird race, welcome. Who's inside right now? Triste, only her? There are also a few other esteemed guests. The wooden woman was surprised. HM? The other members of the bramble bird royal family aren't here. Where are they? The 2 guards had a troubled expression on their faces. They exchanged glances. Forget it, I'm too lazy to ask about your matters. I'm only looking for Triste for a small matter. The wooden woman waved her hand dismissively. The guards sighed in relief and opened up a path. The wooden woman led Gu Qingshan and the big rooster inside. As they walked along the long hallway, they could already hear the intermittent sounds of conversation coming from the room ahead. After all, this was a heavily guarded area, and only VIPs who were familiar with each other were allowed in here, so the people inside the room didn't have to worry too much about talking. What? You didn't find them? Really, so many people were sent out, why haven't they found them yet? I think they'll be fine, is that so? But where exactly did they go? Gu Qingshan could hear their whispered conversation. The air seemed to be filled with a sense of fear. But when they opened the door and officially stood in front of Triest, all the chatter stopped. The other party followed the most basic of etiquette. The Light of Dawn Triest was a very kind and friendly girl. She had a tall and slender body, emerald green eyes, and long brown hair that cascaded down like a waterfall. She was discussing something with a few aristocratic ladies. Triest, I'm here, the wooden woman said. Ah? I remember you don't like banquets, what brings you here? Triest smiled and stood up to greet the wooden woman, Gu Qingshan, and the big rooster. There's a small matter I need to trouble you with. How rare for you to trouble others with a small matter. It's something related to you. After some small talk, they sat down. The wooden woman told them what happened. Triest looked at Gu Qingshan and asked, Is that so? You're trapped? That's why you couldn't make it in time for my call? That's right, this was an accident, but I'm more than willing to help you, Gu Qingshan sincerely replied. Since she personally spoke up for you, I'll grant you this honor. Saying so, Triest took out a circular medal and tossed it to Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan caught it. It was a silver medal, with Triest standing on top of it, smiling at Gu Qingshan. This medal represents that you've answered my call, Triest softly said, and inside the medal, there's a prize that's only second to the first place. Gu Qingshan held the medal. Thank you for your generosity, but I actually want to enter your world more. Why? Triest asked. Because a friend of mine has already entered, and I'm worried about her safety. You don't have to worry about that, Triest smiled lightly. The rules I've set up this time are such that no one is allowed to die. As long as they're lightly wounded, they'll be sent out immediately. She looked at Gu Qingshan. Her emerald eyes were crystal clear, but when she looked at them, they gave off the impression of a bottomless abyss. Hearing Triest's words, Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. The wooden woman spoke. Youngster, with such strict rules, you can be assured. Gu Qingshan tried to organize her words, wanting to say something else. But Triest continued. The world I've been saving is already in a sealed state. Even if I want to open it, I'll need to spend a lot of power, so you might as well just wait here. I'm guessing that after half a day, everything will end perfectly, and your friend will come out as well. At that time, just tell me your name, I'll teleport her right in front of you. Hearing Triest say that, Gu Qingshan couldn't say anything else. She gave him a medal, a prize second only to first place, guaranteed Su Share's safety, and even directly teleported him here. No matter how ungrateful a person is, they can't ask for more. Taking it one step further, if even light wounds aren't allowed in the world Triest saved, then Su Share will definitely return safely. Other than that, lines of text also appeared on the War God UI. Although Gu Qingshan didn't have time to look at it, he knew that his quest had been completed. The system treated the medal as a sign of quest completion. In other words, he had answered the call of the bramblebirds and was about to receive a new function from the War God UI. Gu Qingshan thought for a short moment. Seems like everything went smoothly. He stood up and clasped his fist to Triest. Thank you very much, no need to be so formal, this lady had personally come out for you, of course I'll treat her seriously, Triest smiled and said. She then grabbed the wooden woman's hand and said, Come with me, I have something I need your help with. What happened? The wooden woman asked. It's a very troublesome matter. The wooden woman stood up and followed Triest out the door. She seemed to have remembered something and turned back to the big rooster. Come with me, if there's anything, you can help me as well. Understood. The big rooster eagerly followed behind them. The wooden woman then looked at Gu Qingshan. You stay here, we'll return together after everything here is done. Yes, Gu Qingshan answered. The wooden woman and Triest walked out side by side. The big rooster followed behind them, winking at Gu Qingshan to signal that his matter had been perfectly resolved. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but smile and gave the big rooster a thumbs up. Thank you, Rooster Grandpa, you've helped me a lot this time. I'll definitely treat you to a meal later, he sent his voice. Hearing that, the big rooster looked up with a satisfied expression. That's more like it, see you later, he sent his voice. The big rooster followed the two women out the door. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.